Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 551.
You can count on it. Every 100 episodes will be on time.
I don't know about that.
You're saying
that still seems like a pretty...
1 out of 100. 1 out of every 2 years we're on time. I think I can count on that.
All right. Maybe. Well, welcome in, everyone. Post spring break, post all the madness of a million tournaments taking place this last weekend, none of which were on the Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Series, but plenty of other action that took place everywhere. We'll recap a few of the things that went on at some of the A tiers and other events. Obviously, there's some news that has hit, including Disc Golf Pro Tour talking about the Match Play Championship. So more of those details continue to be released and expanded upon, as well as some betting and wagering that can take place within the realm of the Disc Golf Pro Tour and some of the partnering entities that go alongside of that. Some exciting things for people that are really into that. There's obviously going to be some pros and cons, I think, on the overall big picture of our sport and what it means. But most people think this is the direction it needs to go. So we can talk about that a little bit later. But we are not going to beat around the bush and delay any longer, because after 11 seasons, 551 episodes in, we finally catch up with Iowa's own Ben Callaway. Yeah, buddy. How you doing?
How's it going, guys?
Pretty good here, but not as good as the weekend you just had. And one of the stories this weekend was that there wasn't a Pro Tour event, although that confused a lot of people. Where's Jonesboro's coverage? Who's winning? What's going on? Why aren't we seeing it? Like, there's 100 questions that surround it, but one man with all the answers was you, as you hoisted the trophy after 54 holes. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Let's start with why Jonesboro. I've referenced that there's a number of other A tiers throughout the country and even in the region, including also a Go Throw event, which is unsanctioned just down the road over at Persimmon Ridge. What had you choosing Jonesboro specifically to compete at this weekend?
For one, I really enjoy playing the course. Second, I've obviously had quite a lot of success there in the past years. And with coming so close in those past years, I just wanted to come back and, like you mentioned earlier, hoist up that trophy.
Just describe, I was going to say, your ideal course, and where does Jonesboro specifically rank in your ideal or your favorite style of courses?
So my top 3 courses are, there's a local course that I have called Westlake. I'm sure, you're very familiar with that course. Then we also have the Des Moines course out there at Pickard Park. I love that course, which is somewhat pretty similar in the style of This Side of Heaven. And those are just courses that I've always thrived at, very wide open holes. You need to be very meticulous in where exactly you're landing. You can get away with some shots if they, go awry, but for the most part, it's really, shot selection and, where you need to land in certain fairways in order for you to score.
Would you ever classify yourself as really favoring wide open shots, or I'm not necessarily wide open, but more open fairways? Do you consider yourself a technical player at all, or do you shy away from technical courses, or do you just feel like you kind of excel in one or the other?
I wouldn't say that I'm not exactly technical, because growing up in Iowa and playing in all these Illinois courses, we have quite a bit. Camden too, for one, is a very technical course. You need to hit your lines there. So if anybody doesn't know what that course is, it's a wooded course in the Quad Cities in Milan, Illinois. But I definitely have noticed that I have more success in the wide open courses, for sure. But if I'm hitting my lines and I'm feeling very confident, then I don't feel like I could not score or win at any course personally. It's just, I just feel more comfortable in the open holes.
What would you say would be a really satisfying track to kind of buck that that notion that if you're not a technical player, or where do you feel like, hey, if I took down an Idlewild or a Maple Hill or whatever, what track maybe specifically do you feel like would really kind of put some of those thoughts to rest?
Ooh, gosh, I kind of want to say Northwood, but that's not even. It's technical, but it's just mentally grueling more than anything. I mean, Idlewild would be a fun one. I would like that. Personally, I think the Maple Hill would be a good one. Yeah, because that I don't know. Well, I know why. I favor that course is the back half is pretty like open, and usually when I struggle, it's the first 9 holes, which is pretty technical shots. You got to hit your lines. If you don't, you're going to get in some pretty serious trouble. And I don't typically score that well in the front 9. I basically just kind of manage, and then I shoot really well in the back 9. So, if I'm playing very well and I'm hitting my lines very well technically, then I feel like that would be a fun one to put under the belt and put to rest.
For a moment, let's talk about your game in the sense of your power and how much do you feel like your game is predicated on the power that you bring, and then maybe declare to everyone, what do you feel like your open field power gets you in terms of distance?
Gosh, it's hard to say. I can't remember the last time I went to a field and just measured how far I was actually throwing. I think the last recorded measurement of me was in 2012's distance competition, and the furthest I threw was 600 feet.
Okay.
And that was going up against, Drew Gibson at the time, and all these other giant arm throwers that, out threw me by like 50 feet. But I think that was the last time I actually recorded the throw. For me, it's just all about how I'm feeling that day. And if I feel like my body is feeling loose and the disc is coming out clean, then it doesn't like the power doesn't really like matter, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just
you're not hurting anywhere on tour for distance.
No, like I can throw. I'm not Anthony Barella. Okay, I know that. I'm not Rasmus Sakarepi. I know that. But as far as any hole that, like, if they gain an extra 50 feet distance on me, that's fine. Like, I can still score on any big open holes that they have.
I was just thinking, I have one name in mind, and I'm digging deep for it, and it just came to mind. Are you the farthest throwing Iowa disc golfer, maybe ever? Because I've got a name that I would think maybe would be your one challenger.
Oh, shoot. Well, I mean, Gannon throws pretty far.
Oh yeah. I guess it's funny. I'm so old. I was thinking of Gannon.
I was curious. I'm like, wow, do you think he regularly throws further
than
Gannon?
I apologize. Okay, I was thinking older, maybe before Gannon was born. Was the only other person that could throw farther than you in Iowa? Was that Mike Robinson?
Yeah, actually, I'm so glad you're bringing up old heads right now, because Mike was. I still talk to Mike every day. We're still great buds. But he was actually you could almost say mentor for me into the disc golf world. I still remember the first time I met him. It was at our local disc golf course called Eastern Avenue Park. He was sponsored by Gateway at the time, and I found one of his baby blue Illusions. They are very sought out at the time, and I was so scared to walk up to him, because it's this giant man just throwing shot after shot on these giant holes, and I'm just getting into the sport, and these discs are soaring over my head, and I'm just like, oh, I found one of your discs, here you go. and he's just, thanks.
And he's 5 years older than you?
Yeah,
maybe he's even.
Yeah, about 5 or 6 years old. Yeah,
okay.
About 5 or 6 years older than me. And then once I got into the disc golf scene and the community, which he was obviously a part of, we started to travel together, and he was known as the guy who threw far. He was the guy. And then I will never forget it. It's a YouTube video. It's horrible quality. We're talking 280p. But there's a course in Oskaloosa, Iowa, and it's the OPC Open. It's a C tier. It was like the kickoff start event for all the Quad City guys back in like 09, 010, 2010. And they were just doing like this giant distance competition at the end of it. And they heard rumblings of me being able to throw far. And they said, Mike, let's put you up against the kid. And I was just ripping these things as hard as I could. But I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I didn't realize like what it meant for me to throw further than Mike. I had no idea. I was just throwing discs and watching them go far. And people were like, there's crowd, and they're just like throwing me. They're just like, chuck this one, dude, chuck this one. Just ripping them out into the nether. But yeah, then after that, it just became, him and I just became good buds. He was actually a groomsman in my wedding, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, good. I think of, as mentioned on the board, Tanner Duncan, of course, Chris Sprague. I think of a few of the other Iowa players that I know. But when I think about truly the big distance outside of the current day Gannon, those are some of the names that come to mind. And I don't know if there's any other names that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head for like elite distance that throwers that came from Hale out of Iowa. Is that Mike seems like he would be the front runner with you right there with him.
Yeah, I think for that era, it was definitely Mike and I, for sure, I would say.
And speaking of eras, some people may or may not know this, depending on how well they know you. You've obviously, really elevated your profile in the last few years, being on the Pro Tour, so much more. I've known you forever. Plenty of other people in the area and the region have known you forever, but really elevating yourself in the last few years because of the Pro Tour and the exposure there. You won the 2011 United States Amateur Disc Golf Championship, taking place at the Toboggan, which to this day holds up as arguably the single greatest or second greatest, amateur major that's out there. I mean, that was a huge deal then, and it still is to this day, right?
I would agree. I mean, it's definitely, if it's not the biggest, because obviously Worlds, it's definitely like more prestigious, I would say.
When you think back about those days in 2011, and correct me, I don't know for sure, but I think those were pre-workout getting ripped Ben style. Just think about your career in disc golf in 2011 compared to where you've seen it move in the last 14 or 15 years.
Yeah, 2011 was a crazy time because it still correlates with that, with traveling with Mike Robinson and him trying to, like, him and the rest of the crew, like you were mentioning earlier, like Tanner Duncan, also another name, Adam Olson, Chris Sprague. These are all guys and mentors of mine that, try to help me, like, guide me through the sport. And I remember distinctly, I didn't have a workout routine necessarily, but I was still like a heavy skateboarder. And I felt like that kept me in shape quite a bit. But at that time, I remember thinking, because Adam had won the United States Amateur Disc Golf Championship in 2005, I believe.
Okay.
And I wanted to do the same thing, like, because he was an elite player in Iowa and winning tournaments here and there. And when I heard about the amateur championship, I was like, I got to be the second Iowan to do this. That's the only thing I wanted to do when I was an amateur, is like, I want to win that tournament. I don't care about any other events that come along. I want to win that one. And that was the only thing that I had my mind set on. So I actually did compete in it in 2010. I came in 8th place. It was a tie for 8th, I believe. But it was my first time playing it, and it sucks, like, thinking about it now, but I actually ended up turning my scorecard in wrong on the final round. I would have shot a hot round, and I miscalculated it, turned it in, it was incorrect, and it actually would have put me in a tie for second. Ironically enough, that was with Ricky Wysocki at the time. and the one who, and the guy who ended up winning was David Wiggins Jr. He won by like 13 strokes. That was the era of Wiggins, right? So, so after turning in my scorecard wrong, coming in second, I thought to myself, I can probably win this event if I just buckle down and basically work on my game as a whole. And the one thing that it definitely needed was putting. My putting was atrocious in the very beginning. I didn't have much of a consistent release. It was everywhere. So now this is the era. It's all documented. It's actually on YouTube of me winning the event, so you can see my putting style. But one of my favorite players at the time was Nico LaCastro, and he's just coming off of an 2009 U.S. champ title, and I actually got to meet him for the first time in 2010 at these local C tiers in St. Louis, Missouri. And I got to meet him there. He seemed like a pretty cool cat. It was awesome, like this major winner, and I'm just meeting him. So I replicated my putt after his, which was like a pendulum putt, if you remember.
Oh yeah.
So for that full year, I just worked on that just nonstop and consistently threw it as well. But I didn't really have troubles with throwing at the time. And then that following 2011 year, I'm telling everybody, like, I'm winning this tournament. It's going to happen. And, they kind of scoffed a little bit, like, yeah, okay, like, we'll see. And come final round, with 3 holes to play, the phone calls and texts started coming in pretty heavily at that point.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I bring it up, obviously it's a career-defining moment, no matter who the golfer is, but that I feel like is then, especially then, more so, was a springboard. That was officially getting recognized, just like we have on the AM Worlds. That's really one of those moments where all the manufacturers are taking note, and then when someone wins that, it feels like the default oftentimes was Discraft would offer a sponsorship or at least put their hat in the ring. And then Innova was really the only other company, but Innova would also be taking note. But it felt like Discraft always had the edge, and you were in Discraft's backyard. That's at the Toboggan, which everybody knows now, under a different layout. So there's like all of that kind of built up. Is that what officially then solidified you as what's now been a lifelong Discraft player?
Yeah, you could say that. At that time, I was very unaware of like what sponsorships meant. I wanted to be sponsored, but I wasn't aware of like what would go on in the backgrounds of things. So, and what I'm trying to say is, so Jay Yeti Redding, okay, another Iowan, he obviously is playing a lot of these events that I'm playing, and he notices me this is before I won AmNats, and he was talking about, hey, maybe we could put in a word at Innova, but it wasn't anything like solidified. It was just like we'll talk and see what happens. And the reason why I chose Discraft, I did throw Discraft at that time, but I didn't have a most Innova bag.
Okay.
I think the only discs that I had were a Predator and a Hornet at the time, but everything else was Innova, and then I putted with Wizards. And I'll never forget this because it's just embedded in my brain. But Brian Sullivan was the team manager of Discraft at that time. May he rest in peace. On hole 17, I haven't won the tournament yet. I'm on hole 17. I haven't even thrown. I haven't thrown the disc.
I'm guessing, yeah.
I only have a 2-stroke lead. Brian Sullivan walks up to me and goes, "Hey, I just want to congratulate you. My name's Brian Sullivan. I'm on Team Discraft. I run their team, and I just want to say congratulations on your tournament." And hands me his business card and goes, "Give us a call." I was so dumbfounded in the moment. I didn't know how to react. I'm like, I still have to throw. I said thank you, I believe. And then I just went and ripped the disc. And then about a week later, I called Brian, and we're talking, and I hadn't heard from anybody else at this point. I'm pretty sure it's been a week. And I called Brian, and we're talking about my bag, and next thing I know, I'm a part of Team Discraft from that point on. Some
of the notable names that you beat that particular week: Ben Askren, who came in second, obviously world-famous wrestler and Discraft-sponsored player. Kevin Jones was in 6th place. I see Kevin Jones. A little further down was AJ Risley. He was there. He was in 32nd. I believe
Kenny Glassman, who won the Worlds,
the AM Worlds,
later
that year,
or earlier that year.
Yeah,
I guess no, later, because that was June, and I think then AM Worlds was a few months later.
One Brian Earhart is on the list. He was way down there. He was in 84th place. Another future Discraft sponsored player. So,
is that the same
Robert Julio?
Julio?
No way.
Which from Wixom, Michigan. Yeah. So literally, you beat your team manager right now.
Wow.
Yeah, that is those are some fun names to go back. I'm sure I missed some.
Vino, who's on is a Discraft sponsored player.
As I'm wandering down through the list
so many
of names.
I'm like going through like yesteryear as we're scrolling through these names too, because there's 100 of these 150 names I recognize in some capacity. But yeah, it's
wow. I haven't looked at that in years. That's crazy.
That's pretty sweet. Very funny. Like you said, rest in peace, Brian Sullivan. But funny, that's something that feels comfortable to say when you're up like 6 or 8 or 10. With just
but
a
not
couple
2 with
holes
2 to go.
But 2, with 2 to go. That's some pressure.
I mean, and hole 17 at the time was a lot easier. I don't know how the course plays for the AMs now, but there's no OB to be had on that hole anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's just rip it as far as you can, and the tee pad was where the FPL play now.
Yeah.
So I mean, all I had to do was go par, but still, like, anything could have happened. Anything.
Askren could have put on shoes.
Yeah.
You never know. And then you get dangerous. So you more or less played regional events up until about 2021. I was looking back, and you kind of played 6, 7, 8 events many of the years. What was it in 2021 that changed your mind to bring you to the pro tour? Because the tour had been going on for a few years at that point. So what was it? Was that just kind of a post-COVID thing? Or, I mean, I know everyone knows you're not a COVID golfer, but what was it that changed your mind to get on the tour?
So I'm going to try to keep it short as I can. But when I first got into
Smashbox,
golf,
you don't have to.
Oh, perfect. Well, then let me just kick back a bit. So when I first got into disc golf, the thing that I noticed about touring professionals and like their life was, it didn't look fun at all. It didn't seem like it was a fun job to have, where they're literally living out of their cars and just trying to make ends meet, going tournament to tournament. And that just didn't seem like a fun life to me. Like that wasn't something where I didn't want to do that. So for me, disc golf was a great hobby on the weekends. Go out, play some tournaments, maybe make some extra cash, and then I go back home on that Sunday night, go back to work on Monday, 9 to 5. That's just what disc golf was to me. And what changed it, what was the biggest impact was when Paul Macbeth signed his deal with Discraft. That's what changed it the most for me. When because I didn't think that there was actually money in disc golf to where I would be able to support not only myself but my family, my home, and have a livelihood that would be my job. So when that happened, it completely changed my perspective on like what disc golf could be. And obviously, post-COVID, disc golf is now booming. I was still working at the time, and because of COVID, I ended up losing my job. And then I was talking with my wife at the time, and I was saying, this pro tour is really starting to take off, and I've always wanted to, like, at least try to go on tour just once at least, just to see what it's like. Now that it seems that it could be like a viable option to have a living. And she said, we talked it through, and eventually we set up a system, what tournaments I would be at, when I would be home, just to be able to make it work. Because my daughter at this time she's 3 years old, and that's a big change for, having a new kid. And we were also newlyweds. We'd only been married for a year at this point. So it was a big ask, and we took a risk. But I thank her so much for it every day, because she's at home right now doing school with our daughter. We homeschool our daughter because of me being on tour. There's no way that we would be able to have a system, or not a system, but a schedule where she could actually take her to public school. So my wife works all day. She comes home, she takes care of our daughter and homeschools her, and I'm out here trying to just live the best life that I can on tour. So to answer your question, it was basically Paul McBeth's deal when switching over, and then COVID happened, and then that's when I decided to make the switch to being on tour.
It's funny you said earlier, when we were talking about sponsorships, even after, or you said you didn't know what sponsorships look like. Quite frankly, sponsorships weren't much. I mean, way back when, even after winning an AM event, heck, even after winning a big pro event, sometimes you're talking about a couple hundred discs as an allotment, and you're talking about a little bit of bonus money. If you were really highest echelon, you were getting some expenses and then some entry fees paid for. Just kids these days have no idea what sponsorship was like 15 or 20 years ago compared to our grinders and our successful players like yourself on tour. They're still worlds apart. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like your analysis back then was so spot on, in the sense that it wasn't a real good life. It was great for grinders and explorers and everyone else, but it wasn't glamorous, that's for sure. And even today, even with more money in it, it's still pretty tough out there.
It can be. It really can be. I mean, I'm not complaining with everything that I have on tour. I'm enjoying every bit of it, but man, it's still a grind, and it's not an easy thing. And I'm sure you guys can agree with that, and also can relate to that as well.
Yeah, we've just been around, and although neither of us took to playing full time, we were at enough events, have been involved obviously long enough to watch this evolution, and super happy that we've been there for it all. But it certainly has come a long way, is a good way to put it.
Everyone's lucky we didn't tour, Terry.
Yeah. They're lucky. They're real lucky.
That's it.
So I could have finished in 54th, probably four shots out of the cash every weekend at the big events, or something like that. So back into it for this upcoming weekend. Obviously, Music City is on the horizon. Is there anything that you take away from what happened in Jonesboro, either mentally or physically? Is there anything that you take away and that you're going to carry into MCO this weekend?
I think what I want to take away the most is, because this is something that I've struggled with a lot with many other players, is just the mental fortitude to just keep playing to the ability that you can. It's so easy to get so frustrated after a few bad holes or bad breaks or things like that, and then to just shrug it off and keep playing. It's a thing that I've always struggled with, and that's the one thing that I want to just take away from Jonesboro, is that mental toughness that I had midway through the round, where I actually lost the lead to a guy I had 5 strokes over. And instead of going like, well, I mean, this is it, he's on fire, I'm not going to win, he's playing great, I just said, you know what, no, we're just going to keep birdieing, we're going to keep playing, and whatever happens, and that's what ended up happening for me, and then ultimately ended up winning the tournament. So I want to take the mental side, because I don't really have much of problems throwing the disc. I don't have problems putting the disc. It's always what's going on between my ears. And as long as I can keep that under control, I know I'll play well.
Yeah, one of the things as people look at the results, and we'll talk more about media coverage and the releases that are all going to be coming for both MPO and FPO. But on the FPO side, it was very clearly became a one-woman race, and she went on and set some new history and everything with Kristen over there. You and Aaron were you two were also in your own kind of separate battle. He created that by charging early on in the second round, but it was just the two of you kind of battling that out. Do you think about the 2-man race versus if there's 5 or 6 of you all very close And how does that change your mentality, if at all?
Well, I checked scores at one point, and there actually was a three-way tie at one point. It was me, Aaron, and Jesse Nieminen.
Yeah.
But the only I don't want to say I was counting Jesse out, but it was just he would have to have literally eagled and birdied everything from where he was at that point in order to even tie us to send it to a playoff. And even if that would have happened, I think we still would have ended up winning by 1 or 2 strokes. So I wasn't really thinking about third card at all. It was mostly just Aaron, because the guy was on fire, making every putt, hitting every line, and he wasn't even getting like good breaks. He was just throwing pure shots. So he was just playing phenomenal. And so when it became like that 2-horse race, the only thing I'm thinking of is just I just got to keep birdieing. That was the only thing I was thinking of, and I was just as awful as it sounds, it's like you're kind of hoping for them to just make a mistake or like cool down something. You're hoping for something to happen so that way you can gain a little bit of momentum. But yeah, I don't think I would say I thought too much about it. It was just once I knew it was just him and I just made sure I just kept putting any kind of pressure I could on him.
Well, and I feel like
had an opportunity for.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I feel like everything you said about, getting birdies and waiting for that moment and everything, that exact reverse pressure then fell onto Aaron's shoulders. He obviously started out very hot. He played very well. He got himself into a position of tying and then passing you. And then he too had to just stay out of his own head a little bit. And you saw a little bit of crack, under some of that pressure as it came down the stretch. And then that ultimately it was your opportunity, and you still had to jump through the door, but that was your opportunity. And he couldn't fully maintain that. So it was obviously a really good battle to watch. Does it mean anything? I know we just talked a lot about sponsorship and Discraft and everything else, but you've got Team Ledgestone that you're a part of. Obviously, Team Discraft. There's various bag sponsorships and whatnot. Maybe set your tone for what those teams and alliances, if any, do they matter at all out on the course? Whether it's friendships or otherwise, does any of that matter?
So you mean like because of
like you're both on Team Discraft and or you might be on Team Ledgestone with another player that you're battling it out, but yet you aren't staying with someone. I know you stayed with a lot of the Finns this weekend, but how much do those friendships and those relationships factor into the battle that unfolds?
I think I would hope that a lot of other players would attest to this, but once you step onto the course, like friendships are out the door, I feel. I mean, because we're out there for blood.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as it would have been cool to see Aaron win, I want to win more. Like I know, we're on Team Discraft, and that's all well and good, but at the same time, it's like I want to win this more than you guys, and if I can control that, and if I can do that, then more power to me. But if and it's not that I wouldn't congratulate him if he did beat me that day. I would have absolutely, well earned. But yeah, I do like to chat when I'm on the course. I feel like I'm a very talkative player. I have no problems talking at all. But I can also, if no one feels like they're chatty or like friendly in that manner, then we'll just keep it quiet and we'll just do our own thing. But for the most part, I feel like all players would agree that, once we're on the course and we're battling, like there's no, like I'm not going to be pow with you while you take the lead and I just happen to like I just threw away 5 strokes. Like I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, good job, buddy. Like I'm like, no, like we're not doing that.
Well, there was nothing but stepping on Bob Giulio's throat in 2011 out there at the toboggan.
He never even saw Giulio. Giulio was probably in a different pool, for crying out loud.
Yeah. I didn't even know he played.
Yeah.
I honestly, I didn't. I hadn't realized or looked at that myself until. And the fact that it comes up on the page as Robert is even kind of funnier because I've never referred to him that way. So it seems like a new nickname.
This had to feel pretty good. Obviously, not only winning, but the previous 2 years when this was a DGBT event, second place.
Yeah.
And then being able to show up, and it's a little different configuration. It was Friday, Saturday. It was 2 rounds of 27. But yet you show that for whatever reason, you have this course dialed. Do you feel that when you walk on the course? Do you feel like I'm really comfortable here, and I know that I'm gonna put myself in potential to win?
Every time I step on that course, that is exactly how I feel. I think I can't explain exactly what it is, but with the discs that I throw and how I attack the course, it just sets up for my game perfectly. And if I can execute every shot, not to perfection, but if I can execute every tee shot and every up shot, that I know that there's not going to be anybody that can beat me out there. Even with the wins, the wins have been very consistent since I've been playing it in 2021. Very rarely do they like flip. So, ironically enough, though I say that, but this year they were very swirly, and it was very difficult to figure out where the wind was coming from. I can't number how many putts I missed in those first front 9 holes, but it was a lot because of the wind. But yeah, it's another thing where it's similar to MVP. Like I wouldn't say I struggle in the front 9, but I definitely get a lot more scoring on the back 9. I feel like I score very well on those back 9 holes, and it just suits up so well for this red Nuke OS that I throw constantly. I've had it in my bag for like 13 years, and it's just the perfect stability for every single one of those tee shots.
I was just going to say, how is that even still overstable after 13 years? How is it still an OS? It probably flies like a regular Nuke by now.
I will say that Nuke. I don't know if Nuke OSs ever do get understable. I don't think it's a thing. Like especially these runs, it's got that perfect. When you throw it flat, it just pushes and holds. It's such a great disc.
One of the unique components this weekend was just the overall layout. You guys played ultimately 54 holes, which is the minimum required for an A tier. Brad wanted it to be an A tier, of course. Brad Peets and crew wanted it to be an A tier with the 54 holes. But 2 rounds of 27 in present day high level disc golf is just simply not as common.
No.
Any takeaways from that?
To be honest with you, I don't really care about the amount of holes that we played. I didn't even know that we were playing 27 holes until literally the Monday before the event. I had no idea.
All right.
So I got told that we were playing a 27 hole layout and it's a 2-round tournament, and I think my exact thought was, all right, let's go. Yeah. I mean, because they said it was going to be the AM side, and I've seen a few of those holes that they were going to add to the course, that is. And I've seen a few of those holes, and immediately my thought was that this is just like the old disc golf that I grew up on. Mm-hmm. Like just a bunch of par 3s, and you just need to get them. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I saw that those were the holes, I was like, as long as I can just hang on with the this side of heaven and get like 6 or 7 of these, I'll be just fine. Mm-hmm. But the only thing that I definitely needed to make sure of is, because it's 27 holes, it's obviously going to be much longer rounds. And that course is no joke, walking up and down those hills. So I had to pack like extra food, extra water bottles. I think my bag ended up I think I weighed it. It was like 35 pounds.
Okay.
With everything that was in it, because I had I don't know, probably 26 or 27 discs, 2 water bottles, a sandwich, some trail mix, 2 bananas, my towels, everything that I needed for that round, and it was just like, so that's why I played extra rounds there this year, just because I wanted to see like how my body would react to carrying such a heavy bag for all those holes. And after the rounds, I felt pretty good, so I wasn't really too worried about it.
Yeah, everything you just said, I think about. Normally we all would gear up, and even Brad was thinking, "Oh, this is going to be, this actually plays pretty quickly normally to play the 18 holes, and if that plays around 2.5, 3 hours, add another 9, short 9, maybe it should go 4 hours." The first day, the first round, spoiler, it was played in 3 hours and 20 minutes. 27 holes were played in 3 hours and 20 minutes. And every one of us loved that, myself included. It was great. It was great. The second day, because there was some rain and some other things and a slowdown here and there, it still played in under 4 hours. And it was a blessing that I think things still moved. I saw the sandwich. I thought I smelled. Was it peanut butter or peanut butter and jelly? What was the sandwich?
Yeah, peanut butter jelly with a banana. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. And I was eyeing up your trail mix, and then I'm like, is he gonna dig into that with his right hand and get possibly peanut grease or oil on his hand? Like I'm paying attention to everything you guys are doing out there. I was like, this guy knows what he's doing.
I actually ended up. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't think you caught it on camera, but it was during the second round. I think it was on the back 9 stretch of holes at this side of heaven. It may have been a hole, let's see, 10. It was on hole 11. I went to go I had my trail mix in my hand, and I went to go pick something up because I dropped something, and I spilled all my trail mix. Like right there in the middle of the fairway.
Oh, I did not see that.
Gone. I was like, oh, well, there goes that.
Well, hole 11 at the tee already had a Trash Panda mini sitting there. I think a towel, a water bottle. Your umbrella was there, and then you leave your trail mix. Hole 11 was just a mess apparently. Hole 11 being the original hole 1 for everyone. And it feels kind of weird. I know that was part of last year. I wasn't on site, but I was in the booth last year. Just the shifting of the numbers. They all make perfect sense where we start and where we finish. But after being there for 5 or 6 straight years, that shift in hole numbering feels a little different still, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does.
Or are you used to it?
Well, I don't really know how to describe it, but like it almost seems like it doesn't matter to me, like where they want to start. It doesn't. It almost doesn't matter. Like I do like that hole 10, which is old hole 18.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I take that back. That's the opposite. That's what I meant to say is I miss hole 18 being the original. I miss ending on that hole because there's so much that could happen, and it's such a great finishing hole. And I've always been one that doesn't really care too much for ending on par 3s. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a lot could really happen. And I say that with how I finished last year, so that's ironic. But I just miss finishing on old 18 just because of how iconic that hole was. And starting on, the starting holes, if you really think about it, they're kind of similar as far as like the shot shape is concerned. I like what I mean by that is how I throw the disc on each hole. I throw the same Nuke OS if it's windy on both hole 1 and old hole 1. And I just try to rip it as hard as I can with a little bit of turn. And if it turns enough, I know I'm going to park it. And it's like the mindset is almost like the same. It's even though they're different holes.
Yeah, that makes sense. And nothing for nothing, I'll spoil the very first shot that you threw on the weekend was incredible. Talk about swirling winds, to start off on hole 1 with some of the most ripping winds we had, round 1, day 1, hole 1. And that was that Nuke OS, wasn't it? Was that the red?
Yeah,
Nuke
it was that same Nuke OS.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Everybody will have to wait for that little treat and a little bit of the chaos that unfolds on the first hole of the tournament, and we'll.
It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it certainly will be. So, of course, you had your own concern and your own great battle. Any thoughts that came from the FPO side? We kind of talked about it walking down a fairway or two, how Kristen had officially pulled away from everyone. She was en route to her 100th victory, averaged 10:30 and a half on the weekend. Said she loves the course and loves the place, but any thoughts as to what we saw on the FPO side?
To be fair, Kristen pulled away from the field after hole 4 of the first round.
Well,
she was 4 down.
Right.
Nobody shot better than 4 down that entire round.
It was impressive.
And I this is her 3rd straight year winning, I believe, as well. At this Discount Heaven, and I think because I looked it up. Me and the Finns were looking up her stats after it said that she had won her 100th tournament. Mm-hmm. I think that the least amount of strokes that she's won by is like 9 at this event. So those are crazy numbers already. And then the other thing that's crazy about her 100th win is she's only played 180 tournaments. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
So like the boys that were talking about how if this was a video game where it's a first person shooter, her KD would be above average. It's like, yeah, that's crazy. She has a positive KD.
Yeah,
playing disc golf. As far as like she's good. I can't remember what the number was, but it's crazy that she just wins that much. And I thought it was going to be like she's been playing disc golf for a while, and I thought the number was going to be she's played over 220 tournaments or something like that. And when I heard 180, I was like, that's just bonkers.
Yeah, and to think how many of those are Pro Tour or NT even. I don't even know if she was around the NT era.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, Pro Tour and majors are a majority of those because she doesn't. Like, those are like the elite events that she's winning. It's not like she's racking up B tiers or even A tiers, even though this was an A tier. She's racking those up on against the best competition we have right now.
16. I quickly counted. This might be wrong, but I think I saw 7 majors, 16 Elite Series, and 2 national tours. When they were still deemed national tours, which would get lumped into that Elite Series, area. So roughly 18, again, that's quick math, roughly 18 of those, along with her 7 majors, and then the rest being A's, B's, and C's. So crazy.
Still crazy.
Somewhere in another file, I had a whole bunch of thoughts written out in terms of the timeline for her to get there. I'll talk a little bit more about those later in the show, but pretty incredible. And little side note that I'll mention later too. Her first ever event was at Järvenjane, which is a course I've now visited and played at myself in Estonia. Her first ever event, she played pro women and she won it. So literally shows up, first ever tournament, on a PDGA from the PDGA perspective, and then leaves that one a winner. And well, it's
a good way to get a taste. It's a good way to get a taste for the sport. I could do this.
Yeah. So pretty incredible. One of the final questions I have for you, looking with, call it momentum and confidence and everything else as you move into the rest of the year, getting not only the win, but also picking up a little bit of money. Do you have a goal? Do you have anything that you specifically set your sights on for the 2025 season?
This year, I want to win an Elite Series. Actually, I take that back. I want to win any tournament that I play this year, whatever that may be. That's my goal. I know it's not a matter of which one; it's a matter of just when. So whatever tournament it is that I know that I'm firing on all cylinders and I'm playing very well at, I want to win one of these events that I'm going to be playing. And I should preface this that every event that I'm playing from here on out is going to be a Pro Tour event or a major. So I have no A tiers on the schedule from here on out.
Along those lines, I you and I were walking down the fairway this weekend, and you talked about going to Europe and traveling over there for what would be your first time. What are you most looking forward to? Obviously, you want wins, but what else are you looking forward to, consuming while you're over there or taking in?
I'm really excited to see Norway for one. The Finns. I'm actually going to be traveling with the Finns over there. Nice. They've obviously been there already before, so they kind of had the ins and outs on where to go and like what to see. So they'll definitely help me to see what the beauty is of these beautiful, like these wonderful European countries. So I'm as much as I am looking forward to seeing the course and wanting to play the courses, I'm looking forward to just experiencing different countries and cultures when I go over there. Because Finland was great. It's still the only country that I visited over there, but now Estonia's on there, Norway, I believe Sweden. So these are very exciting times, and it's all because of disc golf, which is also just weird to say. I never once traveled outside of my home state, except one time. But I haven't been outside of my home state or my country until I started disc golfing, which is weird to say. Like a sport that I didn't think would have any take me anywhere it's literally doing just that.
I couldn't echo that any louder as the first time I ever left the country was to go to the Japan Open. Johnny V, the first time he left was to go to the Japan Open 2 years later in 2010. My first time was in 2008. So I know exactly what you mean. And I'm blessed. I was in 9 different countries for disc golf last year alone. And to think that most of these countries I couldn't find on a map before disc golf or had any idea where some of them were. Nobody we're not ripping on anyone. Well, maybe our education system. Nobody knows where Estonia is if it weren't for Kristen. Like we would have, you could poll, I think, 1,000 people, like pluck 1,000 disc golfers off the street, and 900 plus of them couldn't find Estonia on a map. But the ones that can only know because of Kristen, and I'm one of those people. So we're getting there slowly, is I guess what I'm trying to say. But it's all in for the best of reasons. Ben, before we let you go, anything either we didn't cover that you want to just talk about? Yeah, the floor is yours for that. And then after that, sponsors, shout outs, thanks, whatever you want to give. The floor is yours for all of that.
Sure. I feel like we did a really good job of covering all the bases. For my first time being on SmashBoxxTV, I just want to make sure I reiterate that. So thank you for having me on. And we covered all the bases. But yeah, I would love to take this time to thank my wife and my daughter back home who are watching, and tell them that I love them very much and I miss them, and I get to see them in a week. So I'm going home right after this tournament. Get to see them for about 5 days, and then I head off to Kansas City after that. And I'll just say thank you to my sponsors, which are Discraft, Ledgestone, Grip Equipment, and Culture Shock Barbershop Studio. I wish I could bring him on the road more often because my hair is starting to become a mop, but it is what it is. I'll see him in a week. And also, I would just like to thank you, you guys, for having me on. Finally, thank you. Thank you for allowing this opportunity for me. This is wonderful. It's been fun, and thank you to everybody who's been watching as well.
Awesome. Well, I would have to really dig, but I bet you, if we went back to our first year of being in business as a live broadcast company in 2014, we broadcast 4 events in 5 weekends. That was because Legacy paid the huge fee to rent our backpack to go live, and we were trying to get our reps in. And one of the things we did is we drove over to the Rumble and covered it live in 2014. I wouldn't be surprised if you weren't either on one of those cards or so you may have been on Smashbox's airwaves technically back in 2014 because that was my first time over there. But you're right. Well, like I said in the pre-show, if you win and you just accomplish your goals, you're here talking to us every week or so. So that's in your hands now.
All right, that sounds good. I like that.
Well, we would love to have you anytime. You don't have to win, but if you're going to win, we definitely need to talk to you week in and week out. So we appreciate you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, guys.
All right, have a good night.
Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Ben Callaway, ladies and gentlemen.
Little quick math at the Rumble from that year. I brought it up. Unfortunately not. He shot a good final round is what he shot. And
we didn't cut to like our third or fourth or fifth camera?
No, I don't believe we did.
Since it was, I think,
a single camera. It was one camera, Terry.
I think it was me.
Unless there was a backup. He wasn't on SmashBoxx Airways.
Oh, I bet. There might have been.
No, that event had Paul Macbeth, Paul Ulibarri, Will Schustrick, Kale LaVisca, Jeremy Coling, Kyle Webster, Dana Vici, and Ben Callaway. Those are your
and then Dana, Ben, Tanner Duncan, who we mentioned earlier, and Greg Barsby all ended up tying for 7th. So, good stuff. I have Ben is, I think, on 1 or 2 of the Disc Golf Guys coverage of stuff I've done in Iowa as well. But it has been a minute, and certainly glad not only to be there this weekend in Jonesboro to see all the action, but then to record all of that history and have him take things down.
I love when we let a guest go and for a few more seconds they're on their phones and then they'll usually disconnect. And it's always the best picture, that last shot you get of someone. I don't do this often, but
it's his first time. He's like, how do I hang this thing up?
Where's the off button?
I'm sick of you guys.
So thanks, Ben. Thanks for joining. Awesome. He threw us under the bus. It's only fair we throw him under. Had we been broadcasting or had our podcast in 2011, he'd have made it.
That's true. That is true. Well, congrats to him, and again, congrats to Kristen. Let's real quickly run down coverage. Here's what I'll say.
Yeah, just get the coverage out first. Let's go ahead and talk about that.
Coverage. This was a very is bootstrap effort. Is that an accurate phrase? I think. There wasn't this not being a Pro Tour event this year, and lots of players scattered in a lot of different directions. It was a matter of finding and supporting the events that had a good field and were good events. But money doesn't flow the same when it's not at the Pro Tour level. And Disc Golf Van Life, Michael and his wife Grace were talking about being there for coverage. I was talking about being there for some coverage just so that we can make sure this event got documented and put out there. And we had actually a brief discussion because I came to the table a little bit late, and Michael was saying, hey, I see Kristen signed up. I think I'd like to cover the FPO. And I was like, I'd like to cover FPO, but you were adamant about it and jumped on the idea first. Sounds good to me. And what an awesome weekend for him and his channel.
Yeah.
For him and his wife to be able to go then capture the history that is Kristen's win.
I bet he is, and I know the coverage isn't out yet. Mm-hmm. I bet he is pounding those keys hard because this is of all the events. Had she just won by 3 or 4 strokes, no big deal.
Or if it was her like 92nd win.
Yeah. Even the fact that it's her 100th win, I don't think is that big of a deal. It's how she won the event. People are clamoring for this coverage right now. So I bet you he's busting his ass right now to get that coverage out.
Yeah, he is not. We've seen him do a number of other coverages, and he's also helped me on my channel for a number of events as a camera operator, in which he helped me as well this weekend. He is not used to the turnaround of the very next day.
Yeah.
Not only, obviously, is it a lot of editing, but then figuring out all the commentary components that go along with it, and who and where and when and all that other stuff. And then all on top of that, it was 2 rounds of 27. and his defense, not only did he film the FPO with his wife, he then caught up with MPO a few holes in and was catch cam for me for another 20 some holes each day.
That's a lot of walking.
That's like he covered, I was going to say 108 holes. He missed a couple. We're going to call it an even 100 holes.
What a champ.
Yeah, so Michael, you're the hero.
You lazy slob, Terry Miller.
I mean, I covered a round of golf.
I don't care.
7 holes.
Comparisons here, Terry. This guy walked
That's
in
why
twice.
he's also half my size.
Well.
So anyway, he knew all along that it was not going to be next day coverage. So then him and I had a conversation about how quickly we were going to try to get them out, so on and so forth. People have been clamoring for it. It's understandable. People are excited about it, maybe more than even normal. So give him and his wife Grace a little grace. We even talked about kind of coordinating because he was kind of concerned, understandably, that if I were to even put mine out very next day, but everybody really wants to see the Kristen round, that they would be hounding him even more so. So we're gonna get it out as quickly as he and I can both arrange it. I do have it mostly edited on my part, but he's got a different operation, and he's also not used to a next day turnaround of 2 sets of 27. So it's coming. It will be on Disc Golf Van Life, and Michael and his wife again doing great work out there and being incredible. So. Coverage is coming, but we couldn't delay having Ben and having the conversation
Hold your horses.
We just had. So it's all going to be worth it. I'm telling you, the very first hole of the entire tournament provides some wild drama and chaos. And
the first hole?
The very first
of
hole.
Of FPO?
No, of MPO.
Of MPO, okay.
Of my stuff as well has some good stuff. So it'll all be worth watching when it all does release. So. With that, go ahead and read off our top 5 or 6 or 8 players.
Sure. As we know, our guest tonight, Ben Callaway, wins the Jonesboro Open. Finally, after 3 years, second, and first place. So congratulations again, Ben. Beating fellow Discraft teammate Aaron Gossage by 2 strokes. In third place, Vaino Makala. In fourth place, Jesse Nieminen. In fifth place, Juna Heinonen. And sixth place, Braden Sides. Tie for seventh place between Corey Ellis, Jakub Samarad in ninth place, Evan Walker, and a tie for 10th between Jake Brown and Nathan Queen. That is your top 10 in MPO.
Apparently, you just had to have a birthday this weekend, and you'd find yourself in the top 10. Braden, just as the tournament was starting, celebrated a birthday, and then on the final day of the tournament, the next day or two later, Jake Brown had a birthday. So
well, happy birthday,
both of them
boys.
finished in the top 10. Both of them had birthdays out there this weekend. Happy birthday to both of you guys.
And in FPO, Kristen Lott, she won handily, as we know, shooting a record-setting event. It's kind of funny. This isn't an NT or Elite Series. Got to go back in my brain. Got to bring my brain back to this year. This is not an Elite Series event. It's a little different depending on how you look at it. Shooting 2 rounds versus 3 rounds. Even 2 rounds of 27 versus 3 rounds of 18.
It's still 54 holes of golf.
It's 54. It's different in. It's better and worse, some might say, because it's probably. I don't know if it's easier or harder to be consistent for 3 straight days, or if it's harder to maintain your focus for 27 holes in a round. Like, there's gives and takes on either one of those. So I'm not going to judge which is harder or easier, because I think there's different ways to look at it. Regardless of how you want to look at it, Kristen dominated. She shot a 13 down the first round, which was a 10.34. I saw that when I looked at the results on Friday. I was like, wow, what a great round. And then I'm like, okay, she's got this wrapped up, is all I thought. She's got it. She had it by 9 strokes. I didn't even bother looking at round 2 until yesterday, I think. When I heard something along the lines of, when I finally kind of caught up on some social media, that Kristen had like this record-setting weekend. And I looked, I was like, damn, she followed it up with a 10.27. Like, what a great weekend, and just a weekend to be on. This course clearly suits her in more ways than one. So congratulations to Kristen on that victory. Second place was Silva Sarnen. Third place, Rebecca Cox. Fourth place, Kat Murch. And fifth place, Katrina Allen. So that is your top 5 in FPO.
look for that action, like I said, to unfold. It will be out there on Disc Golf Van Life's YouTube channel. You'll see posts from me helping promote it as well, and make sure you go out and subscribe to those guys.
I might actually watch some post-production for that one.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they did as they were out there hustling around. Obviously, a few of the tees are a little bit shorter out there, and but the track is still very hefty to get yourself around. I saw Kristen a few holes into the round on the first round, and I think just showing up when I did, like a few holes in, and then she saw me, and I said hi, and we talked for just a quick second as she was moving from, I don't know, hole 8 to hole 9 or something, and I said, I just have to ask, like, what are you doing here? Why here, is what I said, and she's like, I love the course. I really enjoy playing here. I really love this place, and that's why she chose to play here. She did say, she goes, I don't think I knew this wasn't a Pro Tour event.
Oh, when she signed up, maybe way back, right?
Yeah,
when she did
because Jonesboro, of course, has been on the Pro Tour since we first were introduced to it, really, back in like 2017 or so, and obviously she's had successes here, and at the same time, she said she kind of liked like the slightly low key, lower pressure. There wasn't massive galleries out there. There was a ton of people at. There was, I don't know how many people, but there were people at Persimmon Ridge, there were people at Jonesboro, but it definitely didn't have the overall, massiveness that a Pro Tour event has. And she really liked that. I think she was ready for like
a low weekend.
Yeah, she didn't have interviews she had to do before and after. There wasn't a press conference. She could just go out and play golf on a course she loved. And that's exactly what she
a little competition, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Very cool.
All right, we're going to move down south to the 30th annual Texas State Disc Golf Championships, one of the longest running state championships, I believe.
Sure.
In the country.
I would believe that.
MPO, GT Hancock wins in a playoff over Charlie Moore. Congratulations, GT. So second place, as we know, Charlie Moore. Third place, Mason Ford. Fourth place, Clay Edwards. And fifth place, Seth Talbot. FPO, Valerie Mondahano wins this over Owen Scoggins. So congratulations, Val. She shoots 12 under par to Owen's 10 under par.
Call me ignorant, which plenty of you do. Was it rain that kept them from playing a third round?
I don't know. Technically playing the first round, no. Maybe because the first round is empty. So my guess is that maybe there was a first round cancellation, and then they went with round 2 and 3 versus...
That would make the most sense. And of course, my mind was in 10 other places for the weekend. So I'm sure that that's an obvious question to some of you who know more on it. But yeah, interesting to see there's no scores. And I do remember clicking on it at one point this weekend and thinking, oh, does this start later? Is this not? But yeah, it was first round. Just I
don't know. Good question.
What's listed as first round? They would have called it rounds 1 and 2 instead of rounds 2 and 3. But whatever. Huh? Interesting. All right. Well, congrats to you said Valerie Mondahano won.
Valerie Mondahano.
Okay.
All right. An event Terry and I have played many eons ago. This is the 42nd annual Dogwood Crosstown Classic in Clayton, North Carolina. What year did we play the Crosstown Classic?
I don't know if we played Crosstown.
I thought we did.
I think we played a different one.
Oh, maybe we just played the course.
I don't think we played specifically Crosstown.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we didn't then. My bad.
We played the Big Valley Challenge.
Oh, that's what it was. You're right. 100% right.
In 1990.
That's it. That's all you got to remember.
8.
One of those numbers.
No, 99. In 99, we played the Big Valley Challenge.
All right. So the 42nd annual Dogwood Crosstown Classic. Lance Brown wins this in a playoff over Harper Thompson. Both of them shooting 24 under par. Third place, Owen McCall. Fourth place, Carson Ham. Fifth place, Gage Stiles. Over on the FPO, Lane King racks up another FPO victory over Aaron Snap. Congratulations. And in third place, Autumn Wong. Congratulations to all the women who competed.
Brian Schweberger, shout out there. He got a win as well.
Of course he did. It's North Carolina. I mean, let's be honest. Weekend 4. The Sun King Discs / Discraft presents Throw Down the Mountain 13. MPO Clay Harvey wins this. Congratulations, Clay. Second place, Paul Ulibarri.
This was washed out during round 3 on the MPO side.
Yep,
so they did not play a third round, just like I think it was back on weekend 2. They were not able to, some divisions weren't able to complete the third round in their 3-day event, and that happened here.
Rainy weekend, huh?
Yeah,
in the
Florida,
country.
Go figure. But they were not able to compete, and I believe, if I recall, MPO didn't even tee off. None of the MPO division teed off during the third round. However, if you scroll down, FPO played their entire round. I think MP50 played 10-ish or more holes. MP50, essentially got enough to have a third round, and MP40 had enough to have like their 9 or 10 holes or whatever it was counted. But MPO did not even tee off. I don't believe anyone in the division even got to tee off, so to speak. So they just went with their completed round 2 scores. Yuli was out in front after round 1, and then was caught and then passed by Clay Harvey during round 2. So that was enough.
Third place, Kevin Kiefer, the third, and a tie for fourth place between Zach Kitchen and Ben Wolf over on FPO. Rebecca Frazier wins this. Yes, Rebecca Frazier.
I feel like they're still making some adjustments here, because I thought Morgan won.
Oh, well, maybe
somebody can correct me. And I know you're just reading off.
Yeah, I'm reading off the PDGA. So you're
but
right.
They had a whole bunch of stuff that they have to deal with.
Maybe because of the
Morgan.
Things.
I thought I did see that.
Morgan wins this one. Morgan Linz wins over Jordan Linz and Rebecca Frazier. So congratulations to Morgan Linz. Then.
Yes.
I'm not going to read any more because I'm not confident.
I know Cole was the winner in MP40. Cole Wareheim ended up being the winner in MP40. Those I know they played some of that, and congrats to Cole.
And our last A tier, the 2025 Hooters Pot of Gold, presented by Infinite Discs, the tournament that drove Hooters out of business.
Ouch.
Yeah. Winning this one was Matteo, shooting 32 under par. Second place, Silas Schultz. Third place, Linus Carlson. Fourth place, Micah Groth. And in fifth place, Andrew Hoyland. On the FPO side, Paige Pierce wins this by 30 strokes over Zoe Andyke. So congratulations. And I
squeaked that one out as well.
Just barely. And I made the joke drives them out of business because literally, I think about 12 hours ago, Hooters announced they were declaring bankruptcy.
Maddie, how many wings did you have?
Yeah, I mean, no, that would have kept him in business.
It depends if they were giving them out.
Yeah, I suppose if it was an open, yeah. So it just thought it was funny. I mean, Hooters has tried disc golf twice now, at least, and now we've finally driven them. It was the American Tour, and now the Pot of Gold.
Interesting. Well, nonetheless, congrats to Maddie O, your MPO champion, Paige Pierce, your FPO champion.
Those are all the events, really, Terry.
All the A tiers, and
those are all the A tiers.
I guess the overarching comment to that is, on a weekend off by the Disc Golf Pro Tour standards, or by the Disc Golf Pro Tour, lots of our players still went and found a ton of competition. I think we talked about that last week. It's still early in the season, so some people were itching to play, even though they could have had the weekend off and done plenty of other things. But when it was all said and done, tons of players found competition at all those places. Every one of those events had a household name or 2 or 3 or 5 that was playing in it. It's just, instead of all being in one place, they were obviously scattered throughout. And
I'm going to bring it up because it's out there and you can find it on UDisc. And I will say that since we have talked about the first event, the Go Throw has improved their website. A little easier to find leaderboards. The Persimmon Ridge Championship, the Go Throw Tour. Winning this was Kevin Jones, KJ USA, taking home $3,609. Not a bad payout for an unsanctioned event. Second place, Calvin Heimberg, tied with Gannon Burr. And Sullivan Tipton. And in fifth place, Zach Nash. Congratulations.
What a tight leaderboard when you see that. Kevin Jones shot 17 under, and that included a bogey on the final hole. Meanwhile, Heimberg...
I'm going to assume that was a layup.
I have no
I'm just
idea.
going to make that assumption.
Okay. But Heimberg, birdie's the last 3 to come 1 short of him. Gannon Burr, birdie is the last 5 to tie Heimberg. Sullivan Tipton was right there in contention as he finished at 6. I mean, I have not had a chance to watch the footage. I'm not sure if the final round is out. I don't know where that's all at right now. But nonetheless, it looks like it was a very contested battle. Had probably a ton of drama and good action there. So,
and the first time I've seen it, and I'm sure it's happened before, but Calvin Heimberg with a 302 UDisc rating.
Breaking
the 300.
I thought 300 was the 300 was the
nope.
max.
Nope, it's not.
I'm talking about my weight here either. Hey,
I hope that would be your max.
Yeah, I hope I never find out.
Yeah.
I don't want to get there.
Let's not get there. And then real quick, we'll talk about FPO, because I believe there was an FPO field here. Whoa. It is a little slow on the scrolling. Maria Guerrero wins this, shooting 7 under par, besting Jennifer Smiley and Emily Weatherman. So those are your top 3. So
and I apologize if this is not news, but I think it is, in that the context of, I think I saw a post from Madison Walker maybe welcoming Jennifer Smiley to, or maybe she was just congratulating. So I apologize. I don't know Jennifer that well, so I'm not sure if she was already sponsored by MVP, but I know there was at least a post, and maybe I'm putting my own foot in my mouth by not knowing that already. But if she's new to MVP, congrats. If she's not new, well, then I'm just dumb, and congrats anyway on the win, or on the solid play, I should say.
Since we're talking PDGA results, we'll talk real quick about a little PDGA news. The PDGA has introduced some TD training. So there's a new program for educating TDs on different things. You can go out to the PDGA website, and there's information out there, as well as their Throw Green initiative. That's a new sustainability grant that was launched. So, yeah, you can go out there and take a look at that.
I just linked in the comments, if you're on YouTube, I linked to that, to the TD training. Ed Root just quickly said FPO is not on coverage. I believe someone said that Birdie Productions was going to have FPO coverage. Ace Run is on Chase Card. Of course, Go Throw on lead card of MPO. Ace Run on Chase Card of MPO. Someone, I saw it on the socials. Somebody made mention that Birdie Productions would have FPO coverage. To what that means and the extent of it, I don't know. I didn't dig into it, but I did overhear that at some point. So hopefully that's true. And like you said, that TD training is out there. It's available on the PDGA website. That's free. They're breaking it up, and I believe they're doing different sections, and considering each class or section like a whole, like having 18 holes of golf. They're going to have 18 different sections that they're going to focus on. I think I don't want to say overdue. It's definitely been, I know, talked about in some regard for many years. And I remember having that conversation a long time ago about just TD best practices. There's a lot of how-to and FAQ and information for running tournaments that's out there that is available on the PDGA site. But I'm really excited to see what they've done to formally put it together in a training session, class, module thing, whatever it is. I don't know all the details yet, but even as a 25-year veteran of being a tournament director, I'm sure there's plenty of great information in there that is valuable, or things I maybe haven't thought of or applied just yet. Obviously, I think tournament directing on a whole has gotten so much more streamlined and in a lot of ways easier. Expectations have grown by our players, but at the same time, no longer, handwriting scorecards and making leaderboards and posting them has also made life a lot easier in a lot of ways. So I'm excited to see it all out there. Carney's saying video and interactive lessons. So that's, so very cool. So check that out. Another thing that the PDGA is doing that I don't know why, I wish I could just keep my mouth shut or my fingers taped together, but I couldn't resist. PDGA is celebrating a milestone and offering a 25%. Gosh, now I already took advantage of it. I should know. Offering a discount for people that haven't renewed yet. 25% discount. Come on. 25% off PDGA membership renewals. If you haven't renewed for whatever reason, maybe you haven't played an event. There's plenty of people that still haven't played an event, depending on the area you're from. So if you want to renew or you're thinking about renewing, you can go out there and do so now. But there's only 2,500 of those codes that were available for people to use. So go out there, take advantage. I always renew my daughters every single year. They've played in the 14 and 16. So they've been members for a combined 30 years. And combined, I think they've maybe played in 8 events. Clearly, I'm not doing it so that because it's saving money year after year. I'm just doing it so that they can say they're current members and that we're supporting the organization. That was a good time to go ahead and renew it. And they even offer an opportunity that you can buy a membership or donate a membership to another country or somebody else that might be in need of a membership. You're essentially sponsoring a membership for a new member somewhere. And we also took advantage of that. So go out there, renew. If you don't want to, that's fine too, but it's there. I saw some people get worked up today that this code should have been available earlier, and they were mad because they've renewed already and it's late in the year.
There's a whole purpose for them doing it now. Like
it's a promo.
It's a promo.
Discount.
Why would you do it
at the beginning of the year?
At the beginning of the year when everyone's signing up for tournaments. Like that makes less sense if you're the PDGA than doing it when less people are signing up and you're incentivizing them. Anyway, I don't know. Not a big deal either way. So
I want my Kohl's cash because I was there 2 weeks ago and I bought St. Patty's Day boxers, but now
TMI.
They weren't offering Kohl's cash at the time, so I'm going to stand in line tomorrow and tell them
return it, rebuy.
Yeah,
and get your Easter boxers.
Exactly.
Now that you've wore your St. Patty's Days, return them and go get some Easter boxers.
I don't need these anymore.
Yeah, come on.
My main point though is
they weren't clearly lucky enough.
There's discounts and promotions and sales that get offered from time to time. Sometimes you can take advantage of them because they're timed well for you, and sometimes they're not. That's how life works.
Okay.
That's all. So if you're thinking you need to renew yourself or someone else, if you act quick enough and the codes are still available, you can do so out on the PDGA site. All right.
What's some other news, Terry? You've got your notes.
Oh, I do. I think we've covered a lot of them, but not quite all.
Nope, there's not all of them.
25% off discount. I just happened to cover that. You talked about the director training. Collegiate Disc Golf kicks off this week. That's, I think, the biggest news of things going on outside of the Music City Open. Obviously, a huge opportunity.
Go UWM Panthers.
We've watched that grow from maybe dozens of players to, I think they're talking about 700 or 800 players that are going to be down there this weekend. So congrats to those that are going and having that experience, and best of luck to everyone competing in any capacity. I'll be the first to admit I do not know all the ins and outs of the event. I am not in any media capacity involved with it, but I do sincerely wish everyone a super good time with it. By everything we've seen in terms of the coverage and even just the social media clips throughout the last decade, and the 1 or 2 times I have been there, it's awesome. And same thing, man, why didn't they have that when we were in college? Yeah, it just hadn't happened yet. And to see where it's grown and what's happening,
they're lucky we didn't have.
Never mind. Actually, we might have been all right at the time.
We would have had
that time.
We would have had a really good college team
because there weren't many people golfing.
That too.
And there weren't many college disc golfers at that time.
And on top of that, we had a pretty solid group of friends that were pretty good advanced players. Yeah.
I did briefly touch on the fact that Kristen got her 100th win, as many talked about, and we said that with our guest earlier with Ben. All 100 wins. I thought, well, is there any asterisk or disclaimer because she got 3 FA2 wins or junior wins or something silly of that nature? No, her very first event. Her very first.
We can
event
celebrate it in like 6 weeks when she gets her 100th pro win or something.
So nonetheless, congratulations to her, and as we already talked about the average of her rating for the weekend being at 1030.5 over those 2 rounds.
The highest of all time for an FPL player.
Ain't too shabby. Other big news, I feel like, I know I briefly touched on the MCO. We all talked about that coming up this weekend. Leading into the MCO will be the kickoff of the Disc Golf Pro Tour match play.
Yes. There's a lot of matches going on, but the only one anyone cares about is watching Ricky versus Paul this weekend. That's it. That's the big one.
Sure?
Yes.
Okay.
If everybody's excited,
are they going to broadcast it?
I would have to hope so. Even though this weekend is supposed to be miserable for weather. We're talking a chance of rain from like Thursday through Sunday or Monday. It's going to be on and off rain probably all weekend. And who knows what that means. It's going to come and go. I think there's like a 20% chance of rain almost the entire weekend or something.
Yeah, some have already been watching a little bit the Nashville radar or forecast going back already a couple days. There's been very serious concern about what's potential to roll through this weekend.
I listened to Ultra World podcast because Charlie's doing the commentating this weekend. Okay. He was told, don't book a flight on Sunday because there might be Monday golf, which I have feelings about, but if there is, that's fine. I don't necessarily know if that's,
Yeah, I too have mixed feelings on that. But just looking at this very moment, here it is, 9:30 Central on Tuesday night. Match play should begin on Thursday, and then they would play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. As of right now, it's showing AM thunderstorms on Thursday, scattered thunderstorms on Friday, scattered thunderstorms on Saturday, and Sunday just shows showers. That's actually probably the most optimistic it's looked. A couple days ago, I feel like it looked even worse than that in the forecast. I'm old enough to say my favorite line, which is, I don't believe the weather till I'm in it. And I say that largely because this weekend, every single day leading into Jonesboro, we thought we were going to get rained out on Saturday. We had a few raindrops, and the system went 100 different directions in the afternoon, this is. And everything I planned for was completely did not happen. Even though it went from a 98% chance of rain as of Sunday morning to 5 hours later, at one point we have blue skies.
I think you can count on them getting rained on at some point. It just depends on how much.
And will it be enough to then halt?
Correct.
Play?
Is it going to be a drizzle or are we going to see lightning? That's really the question, because it can rain really hard, but if there's no lightning, the show must go on.
Yeah, scattered thunderstorms for Friday and Saturday, showers on Sunday, and AM thunderstorms on Thursday. None of that sounds ideal.
No, I'm glad I'm not there.
I'm glad I'm not there either. So best of luck to everybody. Stay safe. Follow all the correct rules and regulations and protocols. But match play is going to take place over, I believe, 4 or 5 different events this year. Kind of culminates at the end of the year. We're going to have these groupings that will play, and then you play to then move on. It was announced, I believe, that the winner will be taking home at least $15,000 on both the MPO and FPO side. And it's something that's going to be another offering for the network. Is this going to satiate everyone?
No. I mean, it's cool that we're going to see some match play. I think it'll be fun. It'll be a little bit more relaxed. I think these first few weeks, you're going to see players have a little more fun with it. As it gets closer to we'll say mattering, then you're going to see a little bit more competitive match play. But like this weekend, real quick, Group A: Burr, Barella, Dickerson, Humphreys. Group B: Wysocki, Macbeth, Orem, Aderhold. And like I said, that's this weekend. We're going to see Wysocki against Macbeth. Group C: Antala, Robinson, Anderson, and Lizotte. And Group D: Heimberg, Robinson, Amis, Evan Smith. That's MPO. The FPO Group A is Hanley, Hansen.
Yeah, as they play each other.
They're going to play each other, which might be the most fun competition to watch. Maybe not the most, I don't want to say competitive because that's not it, but the Paul Ricky one is going to be the one, again, that everybody's looking at this weekend. rounding out Group A is Deanne Carey and Allie Smith. Group B, Scoggins, Murch, Midling, Allen. Group C, Lott, Sarnen, Pierce, Lorenzen. And then Group D, Missy Gannon, Rebecca Cox, Weiss, and Walker. So those, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm interested to see how it goes overall, but
this weekend, I believe it will be also available on YouTube, so you do not have to have a.
Oh, they're going to do the first weekend.
I believe they're doing
this
entire I don't know about the whole weekend. I'm sorry. The first day, this first match play matchup of the season will be available on YouTube on Thursday. So you don't have to have a DGN subscription. I believe for all the other events, you will probably have to have a DGN subscription.
This is way better Thursday content than the stupid press conferences.
I'm glad we've trimmed those down to just being for 4-day events.
I like the press conferences once every 3 to 4 weeks. We don't need them every weekend, and I think everyone realizes that. So this will be way better content to sit and watch.
And then the other big news from the Disc Golf Network / Pro Tour conglomerate people thing, Jeff Spring and crew, sports betting.
I already laid down a bet. $25.
Ooh. On?
I deposited $100.
Baller. God, that's where all our Patreon money went. Thanks.
I'm gonna double it, Terry. It's a no-brainer.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
So there's the Pro Tour is teaming up with, I think it's like Next or NXT
Next Pick
or something like that, and getting disc golf on a few different gambling platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's gambling, and then there's the daily fantasy. I haven't seen anything on the daily fantasy stuff yet, so to speak. And the difference is gambling, you're actually literally usually just gambling against one person, betting over-unders, things like that. The one I put my money into was called Underdog Disc Golf, or Underdog Fantasy, I believe. And the bet is similar to what Prize Picks used to do, where they would give you a finishing position and you'd bet better or worse. And then the more people you parlayed, the more it ramped up how much. So I had a 3-person parlay where I picked, they have Chris Dickerson at 14.5 place. Better or worse. He has averaged like 3rd place at this event over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It's a Tennessee event. In general, he won this when it was a silver. He just plays well here. So I obviously bet the better.
Okay.
I paired that up with Kristen Lott, who they're saying 2.5, which is the tough one, but I think she'll take top 2.
Okay.
Not going out too far. And then on top of that, I added, let's see here once. Who was it? I'm looking now. Where is it?
Ben Callaway.
No, it was not that.
Oh, ouch, Ben. You're still watching?
I mean, he might be watching. I don't know. I forget. I paired it up with a 3rd person.
Okay.
I've never used this app before, and I'm looking right now. Oh, here it is. 3 picks. Oh, Ezra Robinson, who they had at, I think, 12.5 place. And I bet the better.
Okay.
So I went better on all 3 of them. I think all of them will finish better than the position that they have them as the over-under.
And
just these are the players that are, I think Kristen's going to take top 2. She just shot a phenomenal round. These lines could change even as we speak. The more people that bet them, the more they will adjust. I guess Dickerson was
at fair to you.
16. Well, it's not fair. I have him locked in at mine.
Oh, okay.
So then, but others, now that if a bunch of people bet Chris is better, they'll probably adjust that line. Say like maybe tomorrow or whatever. They're like, oh, everyone's betting Chris at the better. We're gonna bump it up to 14th or 12th or whatever that might be. So I just figured, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I'll put the $100 in and we'll see how it goes. I bet 25 on that parlay, so to speak. And if I win, it's a 5-time payout. So I'll get like $125. I figure I'm gonna go through about $100, and then if I win, great. If I don't, whatever. Now the one thing they're not doing that the old Prize Picks used to do is the Prize Picks would actually give you a score, which on a weekend like this, where the tournament might have issues with rain and like everyone would be betting the under or the worst. Like, no one's going to shoot their rating, and people are going to, or the rating is whatever. They're going to shoot worse than this. This is just finishing position. So we're going to see how this goes.
And again, all part of a learning curve from lots of different parties and entities and whatnot. But you also have to then think about, if you're talking about just a total score, how does that get adjusted when 18 holes are cut out? Because they only played,
It's just finishing position, so...
Oh, yeah, in your case. Yeah. But I'm just thinking when you start betting on scores, whether that's a total score of 150, 3 rounds of 50, or whether that's a total score of 15 under, 3 rounds of 5 under, but then they only play 2 rounds, does that automatically get adjusted? Like, there's a lot of questions there. I'm not enough of a gambling app person to know how some of those would get addressed. But this weekend specifically, you already have to start thinking about what oddities are what wrenches are going to get thrown into there because of the reality that's any outdoor sport that could have these crazy,
weather-related
incidents. Weather-related things. And like you just said, you're just betting on finishing places, which, as we know the players, you can factor that in. But when you're thinking about some of the other factors that you might possibly be betting on, it's a whole new world, needless to say.
You're not putting any money into it.
So I will.
You will? Okay.
Oh, I will.
Oh, great. So a couple things, obviously.
Let's see, I think I got a couple dollars right here.
Anthony Barella, 10th and a half place.
Whoa.
That's a tough one because AB can play really well or he could not. Like, he's shown that he is he's a roller coaster at times. So that's why, for AB, someone I'd probably stay away from gambling against him. Now, this course is maybe a little...
I was going to say, even on a longer open course.
This is a longer open course.
With wind and AB's
power. Simon Lizotte, who's won this the last 2 years. But again, Simon, he might win this 2 years, and then today, or this weekend, come in 30th. He didn't even make the cut last weekend. They got him at 10 and a half.
Okay.
Obviously, Ezra's at 11 and a half. I bet the better, just thinking how he's been doing lately. Ezra Robinson, yeah. Wysocki, 4.5. Like, to me, it makes sense. I would bet the worse on that one, just because there are a lot of positions. But he also used to be called Raincoat Ricky.
Yeah,
like there's no weather that's going to stop him. Holland Hanley at 3.5. Evelina Salonen at 6.5. Paul McBeth, 11.5. Paul has been playing well. Well enough, though. Antala, 10.5. That's another one I'd probably bet the better on. Antala's been playing pretty well. Ella Hansen.
He offered to hold my umbrella. What a kind, sweet gesture.
Like a Boy Scout.
Like the 10 seconds we had rain this weekend on our final round, he had walked up. He walked up and then it started raining. I was like, okay, thanks. And he offered to hold my umbrella with my camera.
Owen Scoggins, 3.5. That's tough because she's hurt. Natalie Ryan, 9.5. I'd probably bet the better on that one. She's showing up for the first time this season. She's played well here in the past. Another one I'd probably pick better, Haley King, 10.5. She's won this event. I would probably put money on the better for that one. She hasn't played this year, and she tends to be kind of a head case roller coaster at a lot of events, but this is one of those events where she plays really well. And I would bet the better if I were to put money on her. And I might later. Well, no, we'll find out.
I will say, especially since you just brought her up, Haley King today made a bit of an announcement about feeling good and ready to get back out there and continue to play with an open bag.
Yes.
And so I know a lot of us all have speculated as to where she might land in terms of an official manufacturer sponsor or a Frisbee sponsor, so to speak, disc sponsor. But as of today, her post, which was like 30 seconds, a really nice little, well put together video of hers on her Instagram, just said how she's ready to go and playing again with an open bag. So just a side note, because I think a lot of people, let's put it this way. If tomorrow you woke up and Haley King is sponsored by blank as a disc manufacturer,
nothing would shock
nobody
me.
would be surprised at this point. In fact, we're more surprised that she has no sponsor. So
I'm not shocked she has no sponsor. I think this will be a year off of sponsorship for her. If she plays well, I think she set her schedule. She's going to play 2 events this month, take like a 1-month break or 2-month break, then play 2 events, and then take a 1-month break. She has her schedule out there, so she's not making a full tour. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out how Haley. I would put money with her this weekend if I were to put money down. So that's. But anyway, disc golf, gambling, it's out there. There's lines. That's just one of the places you're going to see it on. More famous place like DraftKings. DraftKings is supposed to have that.
Yep.
I'm curious as to what the daily fantasy stuff is, where you grab teams, so to speak, kind of like a skip base almost, where you pick teams of players probably and do that sort of thing. So it's all new and interesting. I don't know exactly what we're gonna see. But it's
one
big.
of the phrases that I heard Jeff explain it as just this obviously being kind of, somewhat of a test case year. Maybe that wasn't his exact phrase, something along those lines of like, this is our introduction test year for getting some of the groundwork laid for some of this betting and whatnot. Also, explaining that stakes largely, if that's a backwards way of saying it, stakes will largely be very modest, and you're not going to be able to go out and bet obscene amounts of money on all these different crazy scenarios. And they're kind of easing into it. Maybe that's the phrase that I'm looking for. So, good, bad, or indifferent. I know lots of people are clamoring for it, and a lot of people think that this will be a huge step to legitimizing our sport and introducing it to lots of other people outside of our sport. And that's all just, I feel like, to be determined. That very well may 100% be the case, or it may not add any additional blip on any other radar. I mean, to see disc golf pop up on some of these really big sites will at least pique some interest.
It will.
Right? Like, there's no doubt about that. That some people will literally open one of those betting apps, like, what the hell is disc golf? And that might lead them to Google to type in, what the hell is disc golf? Like, there's going to be that. I absolutely can attest to that. That's going to happen. Will be a significance? Will there be any uptick? Will we ever know? I don't know.
This particular app, again, you can pick as many players almost as you want, up to 8. So if you can predict 8 players all successfully, it's 100 times your bet.
Sweet.
Yeah. So if you think exactly how these players are going to finish, but you get one wrong, you get 0.
Yeah.
Now they have like these flex options where
like flat starts.
So where you only need to get like 8 of or 7 or 6 correct, and then if you get like 6 correct, it's only 1x your bet, and you get money back. If you get 7, it's 3x your bet. But if you hit them all and you pick the all, you get 100 times your bet. But again, that's nailing 8 players of their choice. It's not even like you can pick.
Sure.
You can't pick the 975 rated guy and be like, I think he's going to finish under 93rd. Those people aren't out there. They're putting the top ones.
Yeah, it just brings it, and I know Jeff briefly talked about this, and if you want more details, I was thinking about having Jeff or reaching out to Jeff, but I know he also just spoke with Brian and Perkins. He lays out a ton of the information, more details about it, and the concerns and the thought process and everything else that has been part of this building process to team up with who they have and the stat keepers and all these other things and the technology and where we're at now and where we might get to. So if you want more info, rather than me trying to incorrectly regurgitate it, I'll just say go listen to them on the Perkins and Earhart podcast over there on Jomez. Send you over there. Hear it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. All right. I think that covers everything that I had. The only other quick thing that I didn't fully dip into, but because believe it or not, I don't need to beat any dead horses, at least this one. But we saw a post yesterday about Sprinkle Valley changing hole 18. I very much thought, hey, this is absolutely an April Fool's, like, gear up, ramp up. And then sure enough, today, they delivered on exactly that of saying, hey, we're really not changing it and making it any easier. In fact, we're going to add a banner that creates a triple Mando out here and come play it. And so they're all in on it, which I'm totally good with.
I would, on that banner, and I think I saw the banner, but I didn't really read it, I would put on there the hardest hole in disc golf and the hardest hole on the Pro Tour. I would advertise that. You should. Like,
I'm trying to think how he worded it.
There is room for something like that. Like, you can play the hardest hole on the Pro Tour at this course.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just no reason not to. I think, again, like you said, beating a dead horse, they'll change it if they come back next week or next year for the Pro Tour. They'll change the hole. It won't be the same. I guarantee it. The field and the Pro Tour wouldn't have it. They would walk away from that course before they allow that hole to be played the same way. But they 100% should have that hole like that every practice round, every other day of the year. It should be that way.
Well, we'll see what happens, but Zach over there at Mintis and at the course has it says the triple Mando no drop zones is what the banner says. So it's out there. Take it for what you will. Here, I think I can even put it in the chat for anyone that wants to go watch it. If you didn't see it earlier today, good on them for playing all into it.
As they should.
I'm here for it. Sure.
Go for it, man.
All right. I think that officially wraps up all of the show notes that I had originally jotted down for random topics here tonight. In addition to getting some great insight and history, put a comment or some notation if you feel like you really learned more about Ben tonight, because
I don't know how you couldn't.
Nothing for nothing. Like, I even learned a couple things, and I've known him for quite some time, but it was great to dive even deeper with him and have him join us. So it was pretty cool. All right. Well, with that, let's cut the regular show. I think we've had plenty of stuff in here. And when we come back, we can have the after show and we can talk about, plenty of other stuff that may or may not be disc golf related. So episode 551, big shout out to Ben Callaway. Congratulations on the stellar play this weekend. Also, of course, to Kristen Lett for what she did as well. Look for all that coverage to come out, Disc Golf Fan Life and on the Disc Golf Guy YouTube channels. And thanks to everyone in Jonesboro for being the gracious host and putting on the event the way you guys did. To see the talent attracted there that wanted to come play because they love the course and the property and the vibes and everything else, I think says a lot about the legacy and the things that you guys have done and have built over these last few years. And I hope it continues once construction and everything else is underway and is completed. And hopefully we'll be back there next year for more action. For Johnny V, I'm the Disc Golf Guy. That's Podcast 551's regular show. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have the after show. And as always, a giveaway. Even on April Fool's Day. We're here for it. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV Podcast 551's After Show.
What we do.
What we do. April Fools. Are we just? Am I just getting more old? And
you are getting grizzled, as am I. That I didn't really even go out and look for them this year. I saw 2, but I other than that, I didn't bother. Have you seen? So the 2 that I saw one from MVP and one from Infinite.
I don't believe I saw Infinites.
So the MVP one was them joking that they are putting basically metal shavings into the rims of their discs and then magnetizing the basket and then they had some phenomenal special effects. I think they should win an Oscar.
I clearly saw the abridged version then,
where
I didn't see any of that.
They could show a putt that would miss by like 10 feet, stop in midair, and get sucked right into the basket.
Okay.
And one that was going to go in and then stop and then get thrown away. Clever. It was fine. And then the one from Infinite, I saw.
Suck your disc right in?
No.
Because I feel like I trademarked that.
And in the past, I think Tyler Brickley has done a phenomenal job with this.
Sure.
He used to do some of the DGA ones, which were awesome. The disc golf hole was maybe my favorite of all time.
Yeah.
But they did the a new, and I'm going to put in air quotes, Emperor.
Okay.
And they're teaming up with Innova.
Okay.
And I forget exactly how they phrased it, but it has this new technology where they take a chunk out of the rim, and it's like, basically the acronym is the GROOVE. I think the E is for Emperor. And so they basically took a bunch of grooves, they re-stamped them, crossed it out, and put new Emperor, which is kind of funny because you got the Emperor's new groove. The groove tends to be a meme disc in general because of the rim. So there was that one. And then, honestly, actually, I did hear about the Innova one, where Innova themselves are releasing it's like a champion or a star dragon that still floats.
Okay. Which,
to be fair, the past couple of years, Innova has done these meme discs that they sell. Last year, I think they did a Sexton Firebird of some sort. The year before that, it was like the Star Polecat. So they actually have these discs. They did the Paul Macbeth owns Innova one many years ago where they actually sold some of these discs.
Anybody want to buy those? Those are valuable still.
Some people
plenty.
Still, yes.
Yeah, the McFools.
The McFools one. So those are the ones I saw. I didn't see any more. Maybe that's all there was. I didn't see anything from any other companies in general, but again, I didn't go out and look for them.
Yeah. I will somewhat agree with a few of the sentiments that I saw in general of it's a rough day to announce real news.
Yeah,
honestly, I would intentionally avoid that. And I know Tuesday
the Pro Tour announced the gambling thing today, which could have been seen as a joke. I'm with you.
Very much so.
I'm with you, Terry, because the first thing I thought was, I get it. It's the 1st of April. The event is coming up. I probably still would have waited until tomorrow.
Or yesterday.
Or I would have announced it yesterday if you really... And granted, maybe there was a reason they couldn't announce it yesterday.
Of course.
And Wednesday's pretty tight to get things started on Friday, maybe.
Thursday, Friday. Yeah, I get
it.
Yep.
I still would have waited.
If I had good, big news, such as the betting, and I feel like that's some of the bigger news and conversation piece, or at least something that's been sought after and discussed for so long. If I had any legitimate news, yes, I personally would have done everything I could to refrain from today, but like you said, we don't know everyone's deadlines and whatnot, but yeah, today's a good day to not release real news. Oh, the Fluke OS, yeah, was that specific to Ledgestone release, having that? So anyway, Maybe because we've seen some that have been done well, most that aren't. Some have. There's been years. I'll say this. I don't know how far I got to go back for dating myself on this. I feel like for a few of the years, Innova had done some very convincing stuff to the point where people were like, wait, like really, really believed that it was possible. It was a few years ago. I don't know. What do you guys have? Did anything either jump out at you and actually trick you for even a moment, or do you just take everything and roll your eyes on a day like today? That's what I'd love to know for what was seen out there. If anyone has other things that they also talked about. What's not an April Fool's joke, and I don't know if I touched on this a few weeks ago or not. Tina Oakley,
yeah, I saw that,
made a follow-up because maybe a week or two, it was probably at least 2 weeks ago now.
She announced she was looking for someone to take over Whale Sacks.
Yeah, that she was officially, she's gotten to a point where she believes that she is ready to sell it to someone. I want to say it was almost 2 weeks ago now, where she initially made that very heartfelt, sincere post, just saying she's ready essentially to give it up and to sell it to the right people. She made an update today saying that she's had a lot of good talks with a lot of different people, had, gotten other people's stories and conversations. I have no idea financially where that is or what that's like in terms of what value she has on it, where that goes. But she posted an update today saying that if there's still people, I guess my only insight would be if she made a post today saying, hey, I'm still selling, and hey, somebody can still reach out to me. That tells me someone hasn't either come to the table with
right
her
offer,
asking price, or with a number that just flat out blew her away. But that's just my guess. Because if somebody came to the table with some number she couldn't turn down, she probably would have taken it.
It's a really funny industry because there's nothing proprietary about what she does. It's a chalk / dirt bag in the shape of a whale. There's no secret ingredient to what's inside of it.
She may have her own special
mix.
recipe that is different from the next guy's, that may or may not work better than the next one.
It's just,
but you're right, conceptually.
But there is a lot of value in the name.
For sure.
Because that is the name, the whale sack. I mean, we saw this before. The whale sack was the birdie bag.
Yeah, that was one of the very original.
I think I even have one in this bag somewhere.
Very original hand solution, so to speak.
Yeah, and so, I mean, whale sack has a value, period. There's no doubt about it. They have a brand. They have a following. You're getting something for that. I don't know what that value, because that is a labor-intensive product. Terry, you should reach out. You've got 2 daughters that need things to do. Let's start having them sew whale sacks.
I think I'm probably like a lot of people and have thought about not having specifically a whale sack, but having some form of chalk handbag solution. Obviously, we've seen now mitten bags. There's dozens of them. Mm-hmm. What used to be really like 2 was originally 1, then turned into 2 or 3, and then turned into 4 or 5, and then I feel like they've exploded because, as you said, a lot of people can find ways to get to that solution. Obviously, hers are unique in the sense that they're the shape that they are, but other people have taken on other shapes and then have other clever naming schemes as well.
That's why I feel like it's, to me, a lot of that business, for me personally, because I know them, a lot of that business is Tina. Like, even though I know she probably doesn't make them nearly like she did when she first started.
Yeah, she's not making them at all, in fact.
Correct. I know for a while Erica Stinchcomb was doing it, and like there are other avenues. It's just, to me, that brand is Tina. And so for me personally, if it were to go to somebody else, me personally, I have less value in that.
Well, I think that's exactly why she's probably being particular
and looking for the right person,
about finding the right person
sure.
people that will carry some of that passion or take that passion and or creativity and expand upon it. Because of course she doesn't want it just, even if she got a significant amount of money or all the money that she wanted, she, I think, is concerned about the legacy of the idea carrying on, not even just about the actual payoff that's there. So whatever the case might be,
I wish her luck. I hope she gets whatever she wants from it, and she's able to, either move on or go to different endeavors or whatever she wants to do.
She's very busy doing 100 other things, and
she's
I love seeing it, and as she said, it takes a lot to recognize, and on a much different scale. I've kind of felt that way about running tournaments. I mean, it's something that I was very passionate about for many years, and as I got busier and busier with doing more and more media stuff, running tournaments and running leagues was something that's fallen by the wayside, and that I just simply don't have as much time for. And it on any given day, that passion can reignite, but I'm no longer in a position where I'm running 10 or 12 or 15 tournaments a year like I once used to. And so I know exactly what she's going through, but it feels weird to also like give one up or hand off a tournament or just stop running one that you've run for 5 or 10 or 15 years, whatever the duration has been. I know exactly along the lines of how she feels. Even if she were to sell it off for big money, there's so much heart and passion and soul that she's put into it. So I can totally understand that. All right. Artie says, I like the commercial where Eric goes from wet to dry to wearing a hat all within 3 seconds.
Yeah, yes. that's some cheesy cutting of all things. It's I mean, I give them all the credit, but it is definitely a cheesy video.
Obviously a big day, real quick, not to dig too deep into politics, but a big voting day taking place. Wisconsin specifically is, I'll say, in the spotlight more than normal due to some judge voting and whatnot for some spots in the old Supreme Court.
Yeah, we're a very purple state in general. Off presidential elections, we tend to be way more blue. But for whatever reason, and we are a very key race in this for our state Supreme Court. Is Brad Schimmel versus, is it Jill Underly? Or is that this?
Judge Judy.
It's Judge Judy.
Judge Judy's on the...
Is it Judge Judy versus Judge Wapner?
Versus Judge Harry from Night Court.
Oh, Harry Anderson. Yeah. But anyway, like to the point where it's been national news. Elon Musk was in Green Bay on Sunday. He donated, I'm going to throw that in quotes, $2 million to 2 different winners of these things. Looked a little shady to me, but whatever. Politics aside. Either way, it's very strange to have that. And so today's a voting day, and it looks like the Democratic candidate won pretty handily.
It's funny because Susan Crawford,
yeah, Jill Underly is going for the state DPI, the Department of Public Instruction.
I only bring this up because it is somewhat rare, as you just mentioned, that there's this much fanfare over and focus on Wisconsin. That's the only reason why I bring
the most
it up,
expensive in history in the United States.
Wow.
The most expensive state Supreme Court in history, because there's so much outside money coming in, which is, again, why it's crazy. You know, Elon Musk is donating a ton. Soros and Reed and a lot of people are donating on the other side. It's just, I honestly don't know why it is so contested? So not so contested, but why it's so valuable to these people. Like for our state Supreme Court, which will possibly decide some redistricting inside of our state, but on a national level, I don't understand why it's so important. So maybe because they're looking at things like voter ID and whether or not Wisconsin will turn blue or red, which could swing up future elections. There's all sorts of things, but it's just crazy how many. I'm happy the ads are gone. Let me put it that way. I'm not going to have to see the ads. I told my wife last night at 10 o'clock, I said, all right, honey, you stay up until midnight. I want you to count every ad, every politics. And she laughed at me and then came to bed. But I feel like the political ads never stopped here in Wisconsin from November through now, because it was January and they were already starting up with this election. So happy that it's over.
Yeah. Good on that.
Hopefully we won't have to see another political ad for at least another 3 or 4 months.
We'll see.
I hope not.
Somehow something will happen that we will have to. I don't know. Anyway, also kicking off, if we're going to stay local for just a minute, Milwaukee Brewers not off to a hot start. Any chance they won tonight? Just like
they played the Royals tonight. I don't know.
They have started 0-4 on the year, including the home opener was yesterday here in the Milwaukee area after losing 3 straight. I was going to say events after losing 3 straight to the Yankees. They had their home opener just down the road from where you and I both live. Well, actually, American Family Field.
The cheating Yankees.
Almost splits the difference between Johnny and I. As I drive home tonight, I'm about the same distance from American Family Field as he is, roughly. So kind of if I go that direction, the stadium actually kind of splits where the two of us are. There's a full doxing for you.
The Brewers won tonight 5-0.
There it is.
So
wow,
they got their first win up against. And the only again another national news thing. The Yankees hit like record number of home runs.
Yeah, they tied the record for 15 home runs in the first 3 games, which ties a record at 15 for the most home runs in the first 3 games.
I will be curious to see how they do the rest of the year in general, if they just happen to have a good series, or if their new bats make a difference.
Yeah.
Because they changed their equipment so that like there's a small bulbous area thicker where at the sweet spot of the bat. And whether Major League Baseball, who tends to be very strict about a lot of equipment regulations, looks at that and says, yeah, if they happen to hit a significant more number of home runs this year, I could see Major League Baseball changing specs on that bat.
I'll follow that up and quickly ask, if this holds true, let's just even say for a few more days, right? And I don't know what the Yankees did yesterday or today, but let's just say this holds up for a 1-week span where they are at an insane pace of home runs. And let's just say MLB is like, hey, these bats still fit within our specs.
Mm-hmm.
Good on you and the MIT guy that was creative enough to find this. Good on them. We're okay with it. Then you have to assume every other team should just also shift into trying these, right?
There's already 1 or 2 teams that are starting to look at that.
So
they lost tonight,
but had 30 home runs.
It was like 5-7. They
10
lost.
dingers.
So
anyway, that's my question is, it like the whole if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing, right? Like until the rule gets changed, do you sit and complain about it and what's happening, or do you go out and try to get these bats and see if it or similar bats for your team?
Jump on the bandwagon, man.
Right. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Now, if MLB comes out tomorrow and says, hey, we've officially deemed that these aren't, well, then, that changes the story yet again. But do you want to wait around for 2 months and complain about it to watch them, rack up a few hundred home runs first?
Well, Ed Root on our board says, I hate baseball, but if a bat makes more hits and more home runs, I think more people will watch. You're not wrong, because as we know,
the long ball's where it's at.
Chicks dig the long ball.
That's what one said once.
Yeah. And offense equals
excitement.
And excitement. Like, very few people
want to see a 1-0 pitching duel.
Yeah, want to see a 1-0 pitching duel. Unless you truly get like close to a no-hitter, that's boring for a lot of people. But which is why, Major League Baseball is speeding up the game. They made the new rules for the pitcher last year, 2 years ago. I forget now already. But yeah, I don't know, because I don't think Major League Baseball wants games that are like 8-12 every event, every game. I think they're looking for like a 3-7, maybe 3-8, those type of numbers. But I don't know. Maybe if they do, because at some point then does defense become pointless?
Yeah,
like it's just a pitching. It's just, hey, let's see if we can.
It's just home run derby.
It's just home run derby. And I don't know. I don't know the right answer. It's like the equivalent of making the basket a little bigger.
Sure.
Do we want to see a few more aces? Do we want to see more putts go in from 50 feet? Do we want to see more scoring, so to speak? That's all excitement.
I mean, nothing for nothing. I feel as if, and I'm one of millions, I feel as if that's why I can't really get pulled into football, the the international version, aka soccer, or hockey because of the low scoring. And I get it. There's defense. I'm not saying it's not skilled. Clearly it is. It just scoring seems like fun. Now that might be a very elementary take, and I'm not alone in it. But people say baseball's slow and boring.
They do. I don't mind going to those events. Not so much soccer. Indoor soccer is a lot of fun, but those are usually like, again,
40 to 39.
No, you're scoring probably 4 to 8 goals. I love going to hockey matches. I couldn't stand watching one on TV. But going to the actual game is a little more fun. There's excitement. There's in between things. When they do score, it's very exciting. I can understand all of that. But
I know Jack about Jack. One thing I did see that crossed a television screen of mine recently.
Sure.
BK
Burger King?
BKB or BKF? I think it was BKB.
Burger King fries. Those are good.
No.
Burger King fries are yummy. Underrated.
Well, you're watching it for 2 seconds and you figured out that it's exactly what you think it is. It's bare knuckle boxing.
Oh, gosh.
I'd never seen it before. Clearly, I'm not any kind of sports fanatic, but
no,
it didn't.
Just doesn't
that
seem.
didn't look fun either.
No.
But yeah, bare knuckle, and that maybe it's been around 20 years.
It's probably been around
how much I know exactly.
I mean, it's probably been around for a long time.
But I'd be curious to know if how new that is. I didn't do any research on it.
I just don't. It's like the.
Does anybody watch that?
It's like the slapping thing. It's like to me. I just no, thank you. You're just at this point now. We are just literally glorifying violence.
BKF.
I know that was kind of said about UFC, but just
and Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, thank you. Not my cup of tea.
Well, it says bare knuckle fighting number 72. Of course, I have not been. I'm not a big sports follower of all these random things, but it's probably been maybe it's been around for decades. But I saw it on a screen of mine for the first time this week, and I was like, no. I don't enjoy this. It felt icky. You don't think we should do a slap contest?
Like you and me?
Yeah. Or let's get some people together that we know. Would that make it more exciting?
I want to see the only slap contest I want to see is like Anthony Barella versus Gannon Burr. Long, skinny, lanky dudes that just wind up like I don't want to see Ezra Aderhold slap somebody. That dude's probably got some good power behind his slap.
What about like Ezra?
And no. Here's what I want to see. I want to see AB backhand somebody. Like the backhand slap. Like but he has to line up on a tee pad.
Yeah.
And the person has to stand at the end of the tee pad, and you get one shot. If you hit him, great. If not, you know. That's the only thing I want to see.
Your knuckles coming into play. And, yeah.
Odds are you'd probably break your hand, but that's beside the point.
I don't know. Disc Golf Network's looking for programming. Maybe that's off season. Off season content.
Off season.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
But just can you imagine the slow mez that comes from that?
Just the faces going everywhere. No, the competition I got to watch this past weekend, and I'm going to get to watch this weekend, is robotics. The robots are taking over. Watching all these kids make these robots. My son's team took 7th place out of 39, and they were not happy with that because their robot did not perform one of the actions at the very end where it has to like lift itself up. These are 140-pound robots, and they have to like lift themselves up for 5 seconds at the very end. And they were complaining that their gears were kind of slipping, and so it would lift it, and it only lasts for like 2 seconds and then kind of fall. So they ended up taking 7th place this weekend. That was like regionals. This weekend is the state championship. If they do well here, then they get to go to Worlds. But it's going to be tough. They have to perform well, get on a good team, get the right teammates with them for the finals. All sorts of fun things have to fall into place. But it is exciting to watch these kids who it's a full gym, a high school gym arena, so to speak, filled with all these kids. And there's a few parents in there as well, obviously, but just the friendliest kids ever. And they're cheering for each other and they're helping out. There was a team from Mexico that there were 3 teams from Mexico that actually showed up. I don't know why they came to Wisconsin. There's a lot of other competitions, but why not? Whatever. But the fact that they came with such a small crew, every other team like joined them to cheer for their team when they were playing.
Sounds like creating some alliances too, maybe?
Maybe, unless you were playing against them. It felt like everybody like volunteered, so to speak, like 1 or 2 kids to come to them and then do all their cheers, because every team has their own cheer, you know.
How many like robot?
No one does the robot, Terry.
You're not doing it then?
No.
I feel like you owe it to everyone else.
Our mascot is a robot.
Shocker.
Shocker.
Okay. Clever.
Yeah, it is. It's a guy with like these like claw clampy hands that runs around. It's pretty funny. Surprisingly, no other robots. There's a penguin. There was a devil. There was, I think a lot of it has to do with whatever your high school is as well. Yeah. Anyway, a lot of fun this weekend or last weekend, and this weekend I get to do it all over again. And it's so funny because so many high school sports, you hear parents complain. It's like week after week after week, you got to go to these matches. Not robotics. 2 to 3 weekends. That's it. It's just that the kids are
because it's so back heavy. I mean, that's the payoff, right?
Exactly. It's so you work so hard for like 8 to 10 to 12 weeks to build this thing. Then you do a couple competitions, because I think it would be way expensive if you had to keep rebuilding this broken robot. and then you if you make to Worlds, you go down to Houston in 2 weeks. If not, then whatever. So yeah, I'm rooting for the Nicolay Knights.
If you're not dancing, though, I don't know that it really.
Well, I'll dance this weekend for you, Terry.
Okay. I want you. Here's what needs to be filmed.
Oh, we'll film it.
And then we share it.
We'll film it.
You challenging the robot mascot to an official like dance off.
I'd win. This high school kid, this high school kid couldn't dance.
I don't believe shit what you're saying. I don't care what you claim. I don't care what the bet is. It needs to happen, and it needs to be filmed.
Yeah. I don't think that'll happen. This kid will probably, the kid that does the robot Stu would probably look at me like, really, Mr. Van Derzen? Really?
What is it? Bring it on? Isn't that? I mean,
maybe
this is a full blown.
Even that's too old for these kids. They're in high school now. They would have been in like 2nd grade or something.
I was gonna say, were they even alive with it? I've never.
Bring it on. What, 2003? I'm gonna take a guess.
2000.
Oh man,
so definitely none of them were
even born. They don't even know that movie.
And honestly, I know I've never seen it.
Sure, Terry.
I actually haven't. Yeah. But
a big bringing on
the Toro cheerleading squad from Rancho came.
He's got the Eliza Dushku poster in his room.
Okay, well, anyway, I
know that because I'm looking at the picture of who that is. Kristen Dunst as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Kirsten
Dunst.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's a whole nother. I'll let you know.
Step It Up wasn't that a more recent step? No, not Step Up. Well, that was just a dance movie, right?
There was like a whole theme of them for a little while.
Step Up is different. Okay,
so no, you're thinking something different. I know you are.
Probably.
But
Step Up. Channing Tatum and Jenna Dewan. Yeah, I've somehow missed that one too.
Yeah. It's on his Netflix queue. Let's be honest.
No.
I'll let everyone know how the robotics competition goes this weekend.
Okay.
We'll keep up.
All right. Report back in 1s and 0s or something.
Yep. Other than that, not a heck of a lot. I know I told you this beforehand. I'm doing a full behind-the-scenes redesign of Skip Ace that'll probably be released next year as far as the whole new look to it. Just kind of redoing the back end, more the design. Sorry, not the back end, more the design. It was built with some older design tools 6, 7, 8 years ago. Design tools have been upgraded, so I'm kind of bringing it into the present as much as I can. along with a few extra little features. There's one or two little secret features that are out there that I'm having some people test. There's an event research page now where you can go out to the site, and again, this is secret. So if you don't know where it is, you're not going to find it. It's not linked anywhere. But if you happen to be on a few places, then you know where it is. Where you can do a search based on the event name or the event city, because we know events change their name. So I wanted to make sure it was available by city.
And sometimes the cities do, though, too.
That's exactly. Like the Music City hasn't always been in Tennessee. It's been in Antioch. I'm sorry, always been in Nashville.
Yeah.
It was Antioch, Tennessee. So, but the Music City, so if you search for music, it will bring up the full history that's in Skipbase from now until 2021. It'll show you all the players that played, their average finishes, all that stuff. So you can see when you do a search for that Chris Dickerson has taken like 4th, 3rd, 6th, 1st, and like 2nd or something like that. Like it's just, that is, you can look at that and it orders it automatically based on finishing position. Kristen Letts, her average finishing is 1st place. Not a bad, yeah.
If you're into that kind of thing.
If you like winning. So things like that. And that's, I'm going to use that to win all the money on their fantasy apps.
It just also made me think when you said earlier, talking about the 42nd annual Crosstown Classic, and you said it was in Clayton, like that city doesn't even ring a bell to me. Mm-hmm. And just thinking, yeah, that Crosstown, especially after 42 years of being in existence, has been played in probably multiple cities and or parks and whatever throughout the years. So something to consider. So I don't know what kind of deep dive you did or didn't do with all this sports betting talk.
I haven't done too much, to be honest.
But there is one that kind of is like fantasy related, kind of, sorta.
Okay.
No, that I sent you.
What did you?
The question is, where did I send it to you? It's one that the Pro Tour is dealing with, and I was just gonna say, if you ask if you saw any comparisons to.
I haven't seen
that.
So
let me see if I can find it real quick. Not that I want to give, take away from your advertising that we're doing.
It's fine. Everybody knows Skipbase is the original. It's the best.
I guess I don't know where it is. I could have sworn I sent it to you.
There's a few other platforms out there. I know I've seen them.
Anyway, I guess it doesn't matter. I can report. I made a conscious effort to break up a little bit of my driving and to get back to the roots of actually throwing some Frisbees. So I played 2 separate 9-hole courses that both are very close to the best course in Arkansas. I skipped this side of heaven to play 2 terrible 9 holes.
Okay, that's fine. They were terrible.
Yes.
Okay. Terrible because they were dangerous?
Yes.
Okay. And that's usually to knowing you and knowing the way you describe courses, you wouldn't describe a course as terrible just because it was simple, just because it was, even if it was run down. The only way a course is really terrible, I feel like, to you is if it's truly dangerous,
yes,
or like dangerous to the people around or dangerous to other golfers, like where you maybe 2 fairways cross, or there's a playground 30 feet off one of the baskets, or
in your fairway,
where you're throwing over it or something. That's how I know a course is terrible to you.
Terrible. Just terrible. Horrible. On my way to Jonesboro, there is a city that I stopped at that's honestly, I don't know, maybe only 15 or 20 minutes short of there as I was coming from the south. And I stopped there. It's a 9-hole course. I specifically actually was excited about a 9-hole. I didn't want to put in any real effort or the time, I should say, not effort, the time into playing more. Just wanted to get out, be able to stretch my legs, say I threw some discs, so to speak, and play potentially then a new course, because I don't think I have too many in my log of playing in Arkansas. Usually I go there for the event, and that's the extent of it over all these years. So I stopped off, and the first one, 9 holes. And I always say I am very, very empathetic to the idea of, wow, they only had 10 acres or 6 acres or 12 acres or whatever it is. I very much understand, as a course designer, there could be a million constraints for the design that you came up with.
Yeah.
So I always will base a review or a thought process on, hey, what did they have to work with? And if you are dealt with 10 acres and 2 trees with 0 hills, there's only so much you can do with that. And I very much like to keep that into consideration. What I'm not a fan of is hole 8, where you're throwing over the corner of a dog park with the parking lot off to the right that you very easily can, parking lot / road that you can easily throw into while you're throwing over the dog park over an open air pavilion. Just, it was on another level. And
Okay.
I in some ways hate to rip on anyone's efforts, but some things are just inexcusable. And a design of that nature on that course, I very much think if there are 5 other people in that park, somebody's getting hit with a disc somewhere. Unless you have 1030 rated or better players playing that course at all times, somebody else is getting hit on that course. And it could be a fellow disc golfer or probably anyone else using the park, whether that's at a pavilion, whether that's in the dog park area, whether that's somebody skateboarding, whether that's somebody on swings or the swing set or the playground that's there. It was very, very special. Or you're getting hit because you don't see the disc coming in on the previous hole and you're blindly standing. What I think honestly happened, whoever went out there said, here's the basket. The next tee needs to be within 50 feet. Like almost as a rule.
Oh,
Here's the basket. Let's put the next tee for the next hole within 50 feet of the basket. I don't care if they're going to get hit every time, but almost every single tee was within 50 feet of the previous basket, which if there's a wall of trees, that's possibly
not
fine.
As bad.
But there wasn't. Anyway, that's my rant. And then when I went to another course on the way out of town, I quickly jumped out, played it. It's a very new course. I think it went in the last few weeks even. So again, I love that they're making an effort, that a community has baskets to throw at that otherwise has no disc golf in this tiny little town of a few hundred or a few thousand people. So I do appreciate that. However, I don't appreciate the idea that if there's 5 people in that park, somebody's getting hit in some capacity. It's disheartening, and I feel like it just has a chance to do so much more harm than good. I'd love to see like 5 or 6 really safe holes as opposed to 9 insanely dangerous holes.
Well, you don't get that option, Terry.
I didn't. Shot under par, though.
Congratulations.
It is funny to go to some 9-hole courses that are clearly new or the only one in a community. You should have this 190-footer, this 222-footer, and then there's like, oh, here's this dangerous 496-footer that like curves around a fence, has OB driveway on the left or OB road on the left.
It just doesn't fit in
and
with
then
the rest
a
of the
barbed
course.
wire fence or some kind of protective barbed wire fence on the right side. And it's like, wait a minute.
One of these things is not like the other.
Anyway, the real exciting part though is that I jumped out and played a couple of courses and expanded my dislike for unsafe courses. That's the word. That's the word I'm looking for. Maybe the takeaway from that is, if you go to a course, maybe there's one in your community that you had nothing to do with, or if you go visit one of those courses, send the most polite message, which is exactly what I'll do. Send the most polite message to them saying, hey, I appreciate that you guys have this course, that it's a community asset. I feel like there are a few safety concerns that you might want to consider.
Would you send that to the city, or would you go to UDisc and look for like the course?
Either or.
The course person, director, maintainer.
It's always tough because if the problem is if you go to the there's pros and cons to both. If you go to the course person, you very well could be offending. Now, just because they're the course contact doesn't mean they necessarily designed it, but they might have. And so they might take great offense to that and tell you to F off, and it's fine. And they'll tell you 100 reasons why it's perfectly safe, because him and his 3 buddies play it all the time and no one else is ever out there, and it's totally safe. And maybe that's the case for them, whatever. But it's also tough to go right to the city.
So, hey, you put in something that's dangerous and someone might get pulled.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, there's a fine line there of who you might contact. And then it is crucial how you word it. You don't have to come off whining and complaining like I just did when you're sending an official notice to somebody and saying, hey, just so you know, here's some concerns. I would consider this, or I would have you think about that. What I do worry is in both of those scenarios, what I think happened is somebody from the Parks Department was like, oh, I saw this online once. I went to a Parks Department annual trade show. They were selling these. I bought 9 and I just went out and designed it. Again, I love the energy. I love the effort, the concept, but you need somebody that can help with a little bit of that safety and design. So
Terry Miller Design, call.
You don't have to call me.
414.
You don't have to call me. I'm not necessarily even advocating for myself.
EMAC Design.
There you
go.
Best of luck, Zach Melton, Eric McCabe, and I'm sure a handful of other pro golfers, all part of the Collegiate Disc Golf this weekend. So as they bring their teams and represent, I'll segue over to that again. Best of luck to all of them. I saw McCabe just posted a picture a little while ago.
McCabe's team has to be one of the favorites, I would think.
I don't.
They performed pretty well last year, I believe. So,
yeah, we're gonna assume.
Yeah, we'll find out more next week, won't we?
Probably. Ace Run is filming, and I believe Gatekeeper are both doing some filming.
Great.
So, just putting that out there. Emporia State. Look how quick I found that. Who needs Chat GPT? Women's team rankings.
Yeah.
As I quickly see this, Emporia State listed as number 1 in the women's team ranking, with Liberty listed as number 2, Clemson 3, Arizona State 4, North Carolina Charlotte listed as 5. And interesting, there's some overlap on the I was going to say MPO on the men's side. Texas A&M ranked 1, Emporia State ranked 2. So they have 2 in women, or excuse me, 2 on the men's side and first on the women's side.
Good overall team.
North Carolina Charlotte bumps up a few spots to 3rd in the men's rankings. Oregon State 4th, and Oklahoma Christian 5th.
Who has the most NIL money? Who's getting paid the most to come play disc golf?
That's a good question.
You gotta wonder if one of them's getting into the transfer portal so they can go to a different team.
Who's showing up with instead of showing up with like a briefcase full of money to try and entice some of these players, do you show up with like a Zuka cart just filled with like, I don't know,
like 4 claws or something?
Yeah, or something.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
That's how the bribing works there? Yeah.
No, I think they still take money.
Oh, okay. I could be bought. All right, speaking of being bought, you can buy our love and admiration if you just head on over to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Any contribution makes you eligible for our weekly giveaways. And we appreciate you guys for tuning in, or some of you don't. Some of you checked out and say, hey, I don't even listen to you schmucks anymore. So you're not even hearing me say that, but you're thinking, I don't even listen to those schmucks anymore, but I'll still throw a buck at them.
We appreciate you.
We're easy like that.
We are. Easy
we need
like
it. We'll
Sunday
take it.
morning. You're old and listen to Lionel Richie. 108 people are eligible for this giveaway. Terry Miller, what number should we generate?
I like the first one.
All right, first one. Ben's first appearance on SmashBoxx TV.
I'm thinking. We're
going to hit generate on the very first one, and that number is 89. They're sorted by first name, 89. Scroll. There it is. 89 is Sheldon Smith. Congratulations, Sheldon Smith.
Hailing out of the ATL.
Oh, yeah, the ATL.
Thank you, Sheldon.
We appreciate your support, Sheldon, and we will send you an email. Terry will send you an email. I'll send your information to Terry. We'll get you set up with a disc. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. I don't have much else.
Let's wrap this up so we can do an after show with just you and me.
Where
we just talk smack about people.
Secrets.
Yeah, we're going to talk all about Ben Callaway.
And who I'm going to select in my 8-way parlay.
Oh, yeah. I should make like
I got big
$5 8-way parlay or something to see what happens.
I got big money to win.
Mm.
And then I've got nasty texts to send to the players when something goes wrong.
Oh, yeah. Like,
because you know it's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Don't miss this putt, jackass.
Oh, I can't wait to message, Calvin Heimberg and just ream him out because
another low putt off the front of the basket. Yeah. Calvin, another one.
Calvin, you're costing me money. Like in between rounds though, be like, dude, I need you. Like literally, I got a guy that's gonna break my kneecaps if you don't hit more putts. I need you to at least get 5th place.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. So. One other quick thing, you may have seen it on my Instagram. I'll probably repost it soon, but head on over to the Disc Dyers Guild. They don't pay me to say this. I'm just a big fan. But if you head over there, they're doing a contest in terms of, they didn't use the word recycling. They have a more clever word. Repurposing, reusing a disc, and creating something cool. They're having a contest here in April, and you can win a bunch of cool stuff. And the information's all out there on the Disc Dyers Guild in terms of their socials. So go check it out. I'm going to put a little link in the chat for anyone that wants to know. But you should check them out, even if you're not exclusively a dying person.
Die head?
a dye jobber? I don't know. There's things you can win and stuff you can do. So check them out. I'm looking forward to hearing about your kids and dental work. Not being sarcastic, I love the banter. Oh, I appreciate that, John.
Thank you, buddy.
My crown's doing just fine, and somehow all of our kids are still alive and doing just fine as well.
Yeah, that's probably thanks to our wives more than anything else.
That should be an update weekly. Still alive.
I've got a dental appointment on April 8th, so we'll see.
I got a great dentist in Chiang Mai, Thailand.
We'll fly right over.
It'll probably be cheaper, depending on what you do. All right, with that, that's dental talk here. Podcast 551's after show. Thank you guys for joining us. Enjoy the match play action this weekend on Thursday, assuming it happens. Enjoy whatever we see of the Music City Open. Best of luck to all our competitors. Hope you guys all stay safe and dry as players and or as spectators.
And cameramen.
I'm thinking
of you, cameramen.
And camera women and all of our camera operators and everyone out there on the ground. Stay as safe as you possibly can. It's going to be a wild weekend, I'm sure. For Johnny V, I'm the Disc Golf Guy. We'll catch you next week when you step inside the Smash Box.